Dim sum.
Do, 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 do.
Fuck, what is that guy? Shit.
What's what?
Jin? I think it's by Jin. I just remembered a song
Oh.
I wanted to listen to. It's from
Uh,
14 years ago? God damn.
it's hell getting old, ain't it?
Fuck, I guess. It's not the right one. Where's the music video? Oh, here it is. The title's all in Chinese. That's why I couldn't find it.
Wish I could pop that out. Oh well. That's fine. It isn't the biggest problem in the world.
What? I just learned a new term. ABC, American Born Chinese. They call themselves ABCs.
Didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either. I just remembered this random song and the first comment on YouTube about it. Huh, okay. It's a TV series. ABC TV series 2023.
Isn't it a
It's on
TV?
it's on Disney Plus.
It should be. It should be on ABC.
American Born Chinese. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It came out 2 months ago.
Uh,
Hmm. Well, okay then. Let's see.
cool.
How do we get Craig in here? Two 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I don't hear anything.
Uh, yeah, the audio's starting to pick up. I can bring the audio up a little bit.
Oh,
Not that much. Easy there.
oh, I can hear me on the stream. Where's the bacon? I can't hear him cooking the shit. Oh, there now I can hear the bacon.
As I say, it's there. I swear it is. Still a little loud.
Just watching him. We need a new clip.
We've only been saying that for what 50 episodes. So what?
Over
5 years?
since whenever we had that fucking clip. Cooking bacon. Yeah, there's got to be different, better videos. Oh my god, that looks amazing. Oh, it's Gordon Ramsay though.
Yeah, I don't feel like we deserve to have Gordon Ramsay on our pre-show. And
Yeah,
Flappy Pig is going to be an iconic hit. It's going to
you
be.
gotta beat the you gotta beat the high score of 14.
14. I made it to 6 after I talked to you, and I'm like, no, that's enough.
It still feels a little floaty. I might need to mess with it some more.
Yeah, there was a couple of times that as soon as it started, it hit
Oh,
it hit right like as it hit. I mean, I hadn't even touched
yeah.
anything yet, and it hit.
I gotta fix that too because it starts immediately when you hit retry, but it counts that as you clicking,
Yeah,
so it immediately
maybe
flies.
that's what it is. Yeah, once you figure out that the wings are unforgiving, it gets a little bit easier, but still, it's not the greatest. 15. And here comes transition. Boom! Look, a transition.
Hey, your transition.
Yay!
Hey, Craig is here. Everybody's here. Jockey's still here. I don't know why. We need to get him the fuck out of here.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a you thing.
Hey, welcome to Pigs Pod episode. Is this 106 or 107?
This is 107. Oh, did I not update it in the thing? Uh-oh. Did I fuck up? I feel like I may have.
I was gonna say, I feel like this is
Edit.
107.
Oops.
Yeah, this is 107. Episode
107.
107, July 9th, 2023. This is Pigs Pod, aka Politically Incorrect Gamers. I've been toying with the idea of, do we say sometimes political, sometimes gaming, always incorrect right at the top, or do we say that? I don't know.
There you go. You're welcome. I love you too, sweetheart. All right. Let's see. Audio output capture. What is that? I'm not capturing any output.
You're not capturing your output. You got to
No.
capture that. You can't just output it.
I'm already recording on the desktop audio side. I don't know why that's there.
Hmm.
We'll just hide
Well,
that.
anyways,
There we go.
welcome to the politically incorrect gamers podcast.
Yeah. What's up? How you been? It's been a minute.
I know. Been so much has happened. Fucking uh, uh, the fish in the sea have had taste of billionaire. What else has happened?
It's so pleasant too, knowing that they're all they're doing is just adding to the collection down there. I still think it was the orcas,
Yeah,
but I will say this, and I'm going to go on record and say it, and you heard it here first on Pigs Pod. I believe that the submarine implosion
hmm
corrected the timeline that altered when Harambe died.
I've heard that, and I've heard an alternate theory.
Okay.
Because of how quickly and easily they found this debris when they didn't even know where the sub was.
Right.
It was all conspiracy, and these billionaires had, you know, I've heard two sides of the same coin of, oh, it's a conspiracy. They're just trying to distract us from what's going on. And then I've heard the other thing where the billionaires, this lady at work that I work with said that those billionaires owed a bunch of money or were trying to avoid taxes or some shit, and they came up with this whole ploy. Oh, we'll all be dead, and then people will care for a week, and then they'll leave us alone, and we can go back to living our lives. And we have so much money that we
So
can just live
basically,
wherever.
that's the same thing that happened with the actual Titanic, because the Titanic is not the real Titanic.
Yeah,
They sank it, and it was all an insurance claim, because all of the
yeah,
big name people that were a part of the venture to build the boat were supposed to go on the boat and then canceled at the last minute, like a bunch of Rockefellers and like a
yeah.
few of like the old money.
Well,
Uh,
and the guy and his son, they wanted to leave together, but they didn't want the mom to like be suspicious. So they made the whole thing of like, oh, he really doesn't want to go. It'd be too suspicious if he was just so willing and took a bunch of his belongings with him. Yeah, they either were avoiding some tax bill or something, or they were just tired of their wives. Obviously, the guy that runs Ocean Gate was trying to avoid some extra lawsuits, so he's like, I'm just gonna kill myself too.
my God, the amount of insurance problems that they're having right now with all of that, like it's really really bad. They're going to they're gonna I mean I think the company's essentially done now anyway.
Yeah, they said a few days ago that they're canceling all operations. They're done.
Mm. Well, I mean
hmm
that's what happens when you are incredibly rich and you don't give a shit about safety.
Yeah, but
Every
he had
once in a while,
carbon
there's just a
fiber.
okay,
He put the carbon fiber on the side of a curb and he jumped on it and it didn't move an inch.
like
It's
good
fine.
enough. Yeah,
It's
good
good.
enough.
Bunch of people told him don't mix that, and he's like, I'm gonna do it.
Mm, that's a shame.
Yeah, my that kind of ties into. I don't know why. Oh, I kind of know why. Because of the one wheel thing that I ride. Uh, TikTok is always showing me like biker like videos and stuff,
Right.
and I've noticed there's a trend.
Mm-hmm.
There's basically like three kinds of riders. One
Right.
of them is kind of like what most people think of when they hear rider, I think, nowadays, is you think of the dude going 180 miles an hour down the fucking freeway and crashes and fucking kills himself. The
Okay.
the the fucking idiots.
All right.
I don't I don't I don't want to talk about it. That's the only time I'm going to give them. The two main bikers that you see 90% of the time though is you'll see the Harley rider who doesn't wear a helmet
Right.
and is, like South Park made fun of it. Everyone should be looking at me. I'm cool as fuck. I can't wear a helmet. It's hot and I look stupid in it. I don't want to look stupid. So they're wearing fucking short sleeves or leather. They got their fucking Harley. They're blaring music half of the time. Not all the time. But you almost never see somebody on a Harley wearing a helmet. You just don't see it.
Well, I can say that here in Virginia we have a helmet law,
Yeah.
but the way it works is you're required to wear some type of helmet. It has to be a solid something. But if the helmet is not DOT approved, the ones that actually say like dot approved on the back,
Yeah.
if you're not wearing a DOT approved helmet and you're in an accident, your insurance won't pay.
Oh,
Yep. If you, it doesn't matter. Like even if you're not wearing let's say you're not wearing the DOT approved helmet and you fall and like break your leg, they're like, nope, you weren't wearing the right helmet. Nope, denied.
no, wrong helmet.
Yeah, wrong
See,
helmet.
they should do that everywhere or something.
It
But
makes sense to me, but yeah,
yeah.
Virginia. I mean, they're real sticklers on it here.
Well, it's funny, like, uh, there's always a thing too when they try to make helmet laws. All the writers and stuff are all up in arms about it. It's like it's literally the exact same thing as the seatbelt law.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It. Did you ever see? It was floating around on TikTok. There was like old interviews from when they were instituting the seatbelt law, and they're like, oh,
Yeah,
it's the fascist government trying to control
yeah,
our
they're trying to
lives.
control us.
You're
There's
like,
microchips in the seatbelt. Yeah,
meanwhile,
same exact thing.
meanwhile, it just cuts to a cop, and the cop's like, I just don't want to scrape you up off the road.
Yeah, it's literally for you and your fucking family, so your
Yeah.
kids have somebody when you fucking crash because you're gonna crash. I mean, like I don't think motorcycles crash as much as cars, but I think the percentage of how often it's fatal is fucking way up
Oh,
there.
it's got to be. It's got to be. Every
Yeah,
time we've
it's
had every time we have a motorcycle accident here, it's either like catastrophic injuries or death. It's
yeah,
it's so
yeah, like
rare that it's anything
coma
else.
for 15 years or
Yeah,
fucking broke every bone in their body. They're fucking
yeah,
strapped to a wheelchair for the rest of the yeah, it's fucking
yeah.
crazy. But
Tons and tons of skin grafts. That's the ones that get me. Is when they have to
yeah,
do skin grafts. You're like, oh,
yeah, and I was literally it was funny. I was talking to my wife about it. Uh, because we seen a Harley rider, and I've been telling her this for like a couple months now. And every time we see one, I go, "Look, see another one, no helmet, no helmet."
yeah.
And uh, I'll get to my point of the Harley rider, how it ties into Ocean Gate here in a second. But the other type of rider that you see,
Be a roundabout
which is
trip
the
we'll get
one,
there.
yeah, it'll be it's not a one way ticket like Ocean Gate. We'll come back around. The other type of rider you see is the one that is normally on my TikTok, which are the respectful riders that it's 100-degree weather and they're still wearing full fucking gear and helmets and they're following laws and they're literally like it'll be like a TikTok of them like just going 60 on the highway like they're supposed to and some asswipe goes by them and they just like fucking put their hand up in the air and go, "You fucking idiot, you're giving us a bad name."
Yeah,
People think that I'm you.
right.
I ride respectful, follow the rules. I fucking lane split because I have to. Lane splitting's there for bikers because people driving their car don't pay attention. They're fucking checking their text. Oh, it's a red light. Cool. That's the amount of people you see start checking their text before they've even stopped. They go, "Oh, traffic stopped it. They're cool. I can slow down, checking my text." And just the amount of bikers that
Yep.
just get fucking rear-ended by car. That's why there's lane splitting.
Which is also illegal in Virginia.
Lane splitting
Yep.
altogether.
Yeah, all together. No lane splitting at all.
Yeah. See, here in Utah, we lane splitting's allowed. You can even lane split on the highway if it's under, like if it's not normal traffic.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if traffic's slowed and going like 20, 30, you can fucking zoop, you can zip right through them. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird. That's one of the laws that you always see people on TikTok. They're arguing about it. Like, there'll be a video of somebody lane splitting, and then there'll be people like going, "Oh, that's totally illegal." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
it might be in your
it's
state."
yeah, it's so different everywhere. Like,
Now, do they allow side by side in the same lane in Utah?
I don't think so because I never see it.
Because I know in Virginia they're adamant that it's staggered in the lane. You can
Yeah,
be, they basically have to be running like that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they
That's
can't
how
be
I
like that.
see. I don't know if there's a law. I think they might just ride that way for safety, but I've never seen a side by side.
Hmm.
Oh, not that's not true. I might have seen one or two times that Harley riders doing it.
Um,
But like,
we the interstate that comes right through our area here. I'm sure you probably don't see it or anything, but leading up to Memorial Day every year, there's a big bike ride, and I don't know where it starts. But it ends at in D.C. on Memorial Day. It's supposed to symbolize reminding the government that they need not forget about the POWs from Vietnam and stuff like that. It's a really cool idea,
yeah,
and they shut down the interstate when these guys come through, and it's actually pretty cool to watch because it's just, I mean, it's hundreds of bikes going down the interstate.
yeah,
Um, I've I've kind of see. I'm really torn on this one because most of my politics don't align with those types of bike riders, but I still would like to be a part of it because it seems really really cool.
yeah.
Um,
That kind of ties into my point that I I don't want a blanket statement and say that every Harley rider is probably a Republican. That's probably not true. But uh, it really feels like their attitude and their ideals and the way they feel like they're literally above everything else
yeah,
and they're 100% correct. It feel that the whole helmet thing, like um, we were just talking about it today. We took my kids to the park and the splash pad and whatnot when we were coming home. We literally 3 blocks from the house seen a Harley rider not wearing a helmet or anything. And then literally a block later, 2 blocks from the house, saw a dude on a Ninja in full fucking gear. It's 100 degrees out. He's in full fucking gear, helmet, gloves, and was going like half the speed of the fucking Harley dude.
yeah.
Like it's a whole different attitude where you literally like you're so worried about looking cool, you literally think you're above physics.
Right.
You could hit a pothole the wrong way. You can have a car just not see you because you're in their blind spot and just sideswipe you. You could crash going down a regular city street at 40 miles an hour with no helmet and fucking just die.
I had a buddy of mine. Um, he hit a groundhog,
Oh
and
shit.
yeah, I know it sounds like it's almost comical on the surface until I tell you that it broke like most of the ribs in his chest, broke both his collarbones because he went over the bike and landed like on the
Yeah.
upper part of his body. I mean, he survived, but he was in the hospital for months.
Oh
And
damn.
yeah, he hit a groundhog. I mean,
I can
of all
imagine.
the things, I've known people that I've heard. Well, I won't say I've known. I've heard of people hitting deer and stuff like that
Yeah,
on a
on a
bike, which
bike,
just
it'll
sounds
fuck you
that
up.
sounds terrifying. But I
I've
had
hit a
never.
dog on a bike, but like a pedal bike, and a dog was like running out in the road, like running alongside me,
Yeah,
and I was like trying to do the thing that oh, don't panic or don't run, then it'll antagonize the dog more.
right.
So he went faster and went in front of me, and so I hit this fucking huge dog, and I stopped dead like instantly, and I went straight up and down 90-degree, almost went over the bike, and I luckily like I went like that and like came back down luckily, but I was straight up and down. I was only going like maybe 10 miles an hour, but that fucking you just stop instantly.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I can't even imagine on an actual bike going like 30, 40, for God forbid on a fucking freeway going 80.
Yeah,
You don't, there is no stop. There's too much behind your momentum. It's going to throw you. Like Rablo said, you're a fucking 180 pound plus a 200 pound fucking projectile now
yeah.
flying
You're
down the
just a
highway.
meat sack going 70.
Yeah.
I I've been thinking about getting a motorcycle for a while, and what I really want, I want one of the BMW touring bikes. I
Yeah.
don't want anything. Number one, I don't want anything big. Um,
Yeah, you don't need power. You
no, I don't. Well,
everyone will tell you can do so much on fucking 300 cc's. Like,
yeah, yeah, because I think the one that I think the one that I want is a 350 cc, which I think is exactly like that's good.
yeah, that's probably
That's all I
perfect.
need.
Yeah.
But see, but my thing is I'm not riding it for like a hobby or anything like that. It's just like I would. Oh my God, she got me sweet tarts. Um,
Ooh.
uh, I want to ride it to and from work. Like
Yeah.
that's basically it.
Yeah,
Because I
and save money because
yeah
gas is fucking $4 a gallon. Yeah.
yeah I I live about 18 to 20 minutes from my office. And well, about half of it is um, kind of is primary road, so it's
Yeah.
like 55 from turn out of my neighborhood. It's 55 all the way um, up into town, and then it's which is about almost halfway, and then the rest of the drive is 35 through town. So I mean, it's like that's kind of like the perfect ride for me because it's you're not going out there and you're not going crazy.
Yeah.
I think
Just kind of
it's
chill.
yeah, it's one, two, three, four, five red lights. I think. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even a lot of stop and go. It's just it would just be really nice on a real pretty day to just ride to work and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Um,
That no, it's they're kind of nice. Uh I really want to get a MT5, a Yamaha.
oh
It's
yeah,
just like 489 cc's or something. So
yeah,
it's not crazy, but it's more. But like just for yeah, like riding to work
yeah.
or when you just want to go for a fucking uh like a ride for a second or something. Like, did you ride bikes, like not motorcycles, but bikes when you were a kid?
Oh, as a kid, absolutely.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. It'd be like that same thing. You'd be like, "Fuck it, like we're gonna go do nothing. We're just gonna ride the bikes, look around. You're just fucking riding your bike, just doing that. Go,
When I was a kid, the neighborhood that I lived in well, it really wasn't that far away from here, and we rode bikes everywhere. It was a pretty good sized neighborhood, and you could ride your bike up to like the top of the big hill everybody lived on, and you could go over the hill, and there was a gas station that was far enough away that was a fun bike ride when you were 13, 14 years old, but
yeah,
it was far enough away that I never told my parents that we went that far because they would fucking kill us.
yeah.
So yeah, but it was always a lot of fun. Let's
No,
see,
it's so
Rabble, you
fun.
might be right. I've been having issues out of my audio stuff the last couple of days. Let's
Yeah,
see,
it sounds better now. I don't know what you changed, but I've
nothing.
now just thinking that I have so many fucking memories riding my bike, hitting the dog. I remember one time, I don't know why, it's really stupid. Don't do this, kids. Fair warning, don't do this. I decided to, I don't know, challenge myself. You remember, the handbrakes, right?
Yeah,
Well, if you loosen that thing, you could like slide the cable out
right.
so that the handbrake wasn't pulling on it anymore. I, I, so I pulled both of mine out. I don't know why to challenge myself. Like I said, I don't know what I was thinking. Kids are stupid.
Right.
I was stupid. So I pulled them back out, and then I'm like, I'm gonna ride as fast as I can down this.
Oh no.
I don't know what I thought I was gonna. What am I doing? Okay, so the way I stopped myself because I was getting closer and closer to an electric fence that leads to like a pasture that had a bunch of cows and stuff in it. The way I stopped myself is I aligned my tire perfectly with the fucking pole. You know those metal poles that have like the spikies sticking up that you wrap
Oh yeah, wrap the
electrical
power cord.
fence
Yeah,
around?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I luckily lined my wheel up perfectly so that I hit that and fucking stopped. And then I was like, man, that was stupid. I never did it again. But I don't know
I'll tell you.
what the fuck I was thinking.
I'll tell you a story that I've never told anyone, and thankfully my mother and father don't listen to this podcast. So I
As
don't have to.
far as you know.
As far as I know, they might. I hope not. Um, when
You're
we
gonna get a call in a few days.
I know that's what worries me. When I
John, you did
was
what?
when I was 11, I was 11 or 12, and the road that I lived on connected to another side road that was down that big hill that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I don't know where, like, what it was in my brain that thought this was a good idea. But you know how when you're in a car and you're waiting for, like, say you're at a stop sign and you're waiting for traffic to clear, and as the car is like passing you, you kind of like let off the brake and you kind of start easing in even before the car is completely past you.
Yeah.
Um, I thought that'd be a good idea on my bike. And
Yeah.
I remember that there was this brown pickup truck and she was coming down the hill and I was waiting for her to go by and it was just like, "Oh yeah, I can just let off the brakes and kind of coast into the road as she's going by." Well, I think I mistimed it. I think I went way earlier than I should have and we weren't going to hit. I'm pretty sure she wasn't going to hit me anyway. But she panicked and
Oh.
she hit her brakes and all the tires locked up and it squealed and she turned sideways and like slid it down into a ditch and I
Did
was
you right
just
away?
I was just stunned. I was like, oh my god, I fucked up so bad. And and then she was all like, oh my god, are you okay, are you okay, I didn't want to hit you. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. She goes, I am so sorry, I didn't see you. And I'm like, yeah, you should totally watch where you're going, lady. But yeah, to this day, I've never told my parents that because if
You caused her to drive her car into a fucking
yeah,
ditch.
she put it in the ditch. I don't think she did any damage to it because it was like an old brown.
Was it bad enough that she was stuck, or
No,
could
no,
she have probably got out by
she did.
herself?
She got out by herself. It wasn't,
Oh, okay.
it was like she was a 4-wheel drive, so it got back out. But I mean, it
Oh,
was
okay.
it was down in the ditch.
Oh, okay. I was
And
imagining like she was like fucking down in there stuck, and you're like, all right, well,
he's
bye,
a little
and you
piece.
just pedal away and left her there, fucking crying, freaking out. She almost killed some kid.
Yeah. Oh, but I'll never forget that because she was so worried and upset that she had almost hit me and scared me when I knew
Yeah.
in my heart I was like 100% my fault. There's no doubt in my mind it was all my fault because I thought I was being cool and like timing pulling into traffic. Yeah, it was bad. If my dad knew
Yeah.
that, he would absolutely fucking kill me without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Well, I'll tell you a story I've never told anyone.
All right.
Probably because I blocked it out of my mind. I don't. I only remembered it now because you were the way you were describing your situation. So I was riding my bike,
Okay.
and normally I'd ride with people. And way back in the day, I was also in Boy Scouts, and we'd ride our bikes together all the time. We did a couple 50 milers. On one of those 50 milers is when I hit the fucking dog straight up. So
Ooh.
normally I was riding
Oh.
riding with people, but on this particular time I wasn't riding with anyone. And I found it was up in Idaho, and I found like this really cool like super long hill. And like I remember it was a mongoose. It was a BMX bike, the one that I was riding at the time. It wasn't a mountain bike, which big mistake right away. So I remember being at like the top of the hill, wondering, oh, it's gonna be so fucking fun to go down, but I have to ride back up. I know I'm I,
That's
kn- I
always the
know I'm gonna
worst.
have to ride back up. So I don't know how long I contemplated it. Uh, I'm sure it felt like a lot longer than it actually was. I probably thought about it for 10 seconds and then went, "Yep, fuck it, we're going." So I rode down this huge fucking like windy hill, like in some canyon road where like almost nobody ever. It's not like a main road. It was like in the boonies of Idaho. Super fun and everything. And then I start riding back up, and then it's getting like harder and harder to fucking pedal. I'm like, man, I'm getting really tired. I look, my fucking tires have gone flat. I'd hit too many of the little goat heads or the little whatever the fuck you call them where you're from. I think we call them goat heads. The little stickies, the little pokies. They're like the size. They're like if you took like a little runts candy or something, but then you put fucking thorns coming out of it.
Are they
Maybe you get
are they hard? They're about yay big. They got like
no,
no.
no, they're tiny.
They're tiny.
They're tiny, like
Are they the
maybe
one?
like the
And they're the ones that are they stick to your clothing and whatnot.
no, that's
No,
a different one
I
too.
have
No,
no
these
clue what
these
you're
these,
talking about.
these are hard. Yeah, they're called goat heads. I just found them. They're
Send it to me.
almost like
I have
I
no clue what you're talking
swear
about.
I swear they're what police designed their like spikes that knock your tires out.
Goat heads. What the fuck are you talking about? Let me look.
Yeah, here I'll put a picture in the Discord. They're called goat heads. Just look up goat heads on Google, and it's the one that looks like crazy little alien. Yeah, type in goat head. Goat head is one word.
All right, let's do it that way, because I can't jump out of Discord the way I've got my stuff set.
And not the first picture that has like flowers, but the other one where he's like holding them in his hand.
Goat head stickers. Okay. I know
They're
exactly.
like tiny.
I
They're like
never knew what
tiny
they
and
were called.
super hard.
Yeah.
And they fucking are like magnetically attracted to bike tires. Like
We don't really have those around here. Those are pretty rare. At least I haven't seen that
oh,
many.
we have a ton. There's a ton on my street here, literally down the road where a neighbor doesn't do their yard work. You have to be careful going around their house. They're everywhere. But so yeah. Anyways, those fucking. I basically had studded tires. I had so many of those on my fucking tires. And so I pulled off to the side of the road and like kind of wiped them off. Probably poked my hand. I can't remember or not, but I was like, ah, fuck. So then now I go from a hard ride to just like a really long walk. And like I'm in the middle of nowhere by myself. Nobody knows I'm out there. You know, my mom just thinks I'm riding my bike somewhere. She doesn't know where.
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't.
have that. We don't have really these around here. That must be a more West Coast thing.
It must be, and they're all over in Utah and Idaho. I can't remember anywhere else I've seen them. But so I don't remember how long I was walking. I was maybe halfway back up the hill. Some random guy in like a station wagon pulls up. Hey, you need some help? Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. So we like load my bike up in his car, and we go up and like we get back into town. And instead of taking me home, he's like, "You want a drink or something?" I was like, "Okay." So like he takes me to the gas station and like we get a drink and stuff. And like he was a weird guy. And like I don't remember how or when, but we like got onto the topic of like basketball cards and baseball cards. And I was like, "Yeah, I have baseball cards." Oh, can I see them? Can I buy some of them? I'm really into baseball cards. And I remember I showed this guy some baseball cards and I like sold him like all my baseball cards for like $20. Like this random fucking dude this in the middle of nowhere. I don't think I've ever seen him again, but
You
like yeah,
realize
he
that he was probably a kidnapper and a child rapist,
probably.
but he was also into baseball cards.
Yeah,
So
I
like you probably
probably saved
yeah.
myself because he wasn't going to take me home.
Yeah.
There was no mention of me going home. He was getting me, he was parching my lips. He's like, man, those lips are a little
Yeah.
drier than I like.
He was
I'm going to
basically
take him and
he was basting you essentially.
get some liquid in this kid. And then what baseball cards?
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Shit.
Who do you have? Ah, well, all
It's
right.
amazing.
Where's your house? God.
It's amazing what we got away with as kids.
Right?
Because Isabel would never be in that position today. Like it's not a matter of is she smart enough to not be a part of that? Yes. Is she
Yeah.
going to be in that position at all? No. I would never
Yeah.
let her be in that position. Even though the other neighborhood that I grew up in, because the bike story came from from
Yeah,
where
little boys and baseball cards.
yeah
His only weakness.
the bike story came from the neighborhood that my dad lived in, but the neighborhood that I grew up with here with my mom, I live in this neighborhood. I moved back here when Izzy was getting ready to start school, and the things that we would get away with back then in this neighborhood, like we would be out all hours of the night walking because our whole neighborhood is on the side of a big hill. So
Yeah.
it's just not conducive for bike riding unless you just hate yourself. Um, so we walked everywhere. There was a little girl that lived. She was probably 5 or 6 years younger than us. So we were 17, 18. She was probably 12, 13. Um, and her dad. I don't know if her parents were divorced or her mom worked night shift as well. I don't know her. I never saw her mom. But her dad was a county sheriff, and he worked like the night shift. So
Hmm.
from like 11 to 7, she was home alone. And
Yeah.
and of course, once the neighborhood boys found out that the 12-year-old girl is home alone, it's just easy pickings to go like knock on the door or sneak
Yeah.
around back and tap on the window. Oh
Scare,
yeah, we did
tap on
that.
the window. Yeah.
Yeah, we did that for
Make
forever.
weird fucking noises
Yes.
outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there was another neighborhood that we would constantly like their yard, their backyard was like connected to one of my best friend's yard. So to get to his house, we would always just cut through their yard, and they had like the wire fence, not like the chain link fence, but like just the not electric fence, just wire fence, and we would climb over it to get to cross their yard and whatnot. And I know we tore it up numerous times. And it was about a month ago, give or take. We had some work on our sewer line here in our neighborhood, and I had the county come out to fix an issue with our sewer, and they didn't completely fill in the hole that they dug to check the sewer lines. So I had this hole in my yard, and it was deep enough. The amount of effort that it was going to take for me and Heather to like fill the dirt ourselves was just going to take forever. So
Yeah.
we have a community Facebook group here in the neighborhood, and I was like, hey, I've got this issue. Would anybody, does anybody have like a tractor or something they can come
Yeah.
and push the dirt?
For
And
half a second, I thought you were gonna say you had a community tractor. I think
that'd be
we had,
nice.
so we use the community tractor. You know.
So so I put it out there, and then this guy was like, oh yeah, yeah, I can help you out. So he comes up and he's got one of those like side by side. I don't know what the official. I think they're called side by sides, but they're like the heavy duty golf carts. Like the ones that get the big tires. It's got like a gas powered engine in it. And it's a real beefy
Yeah.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah, like a John Deere, not an
Yeah,
ATV, but like a cross between like an ATV and
right.
a golf cart, whatever
Yes,
the fuck. Yeah.
yes. And he had a push blade, like a plow blade, on the front of it. And he goes, "Yeah, I can do it. I'll come up and push it for you." I'm like, "All right, cool." So him and his wife come up, and he's doing his thing, pushing and spreading and pushing and spreading, and I was like, "Man, I'm really really thankful. I love this neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood is so um is so good, and everybody's so chill." And she goes, and I asked her, I was like, "How long have you been living in the neighborhood?" And she goes, "Well, we've been living in the neighborhood about 20 years." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, yeah, I grew up in this neighborhood." And well, before I said that, she goes, when we first moved in, there was the kids in the neighborhood were just an absolute problem. They were always tearing stuff up, and, and
Moi?
I was like, where do you live? And she told me where she lived, and I was like, well, I have to be upfront and honest with you. I said, I grew up in this neighborhood. We moved here about 4 or 5 years before they moved in, and I was like, so we've been here. And I said, if you had any damage to your yard, it was probably me, and I'm sorry. We did a lot of dumb things back then, and if you had any problems with the neighborhood kids, I had something to do with it, and I am really really sorry.
They hop back in their cart and fucking drive away.
Yeah. He takes the plow and just digs it in and pulls the dirt back out. Like, fuck you,
And
kid.
flips you off.
I just thought that was so funny because I didn't even think about it. And I didn't realize they'd been in the neighborhood this long. And it was just so funny because I was just like, I'm sorry. I'm really genuinely sorry. I please don't be mad.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's weird when you start getting old.
yeah.
I was trying to ask. I was watching my Matt actually from our episode 100. One of the two friends that I interviewed. I was watching them stream on Twitch, and I was talking to them. I was like, "How do you know when you're old? Like, is it when you're excited about us buying appliances? Is it when you make noises when you get up and sit down? Is it like like what's the threshold of you're old now?
Um, let's see. For me, I guess I don't know. For me, you know the old, the story, like, how to cook a frog. Like, you don't throw the frog in the boiling water; it'll jump out. So you have to put the frog in the water and slowly turn up the heat. That's
Yeah.
that's basically, the way I describe getting old. It was just a series of little things that I didn't.
Oh, it's not all at once.
It wasn't all at once. There was just like subtle things, and I think
Well, what's the thing that happens though that you go like, oh shit, I'm old now.
um I think the most recent thing for me was when the twins were living with us and they were using, teenage vernacular,
Yeah.
and they're using phrases that I'm just like, what is that?
Hella chill, whatever the fuck the kids
Bussin'.
say
Bussin'
nowadays.
was the one that took me.
Bussin', yeah,
Bussin'
shit's
was the one.
bussin'.
Yeah, I had to figure that one out. But yeah, I think that's when I really realized that I was really old. Um,
Yeah.
I heard the '90s referred to as the late 1900s.
Yeah, the late 1900s.
Yeah,
You
I
go,
heard.
hold up,
Wait a
fucking
minute.
buddy.
Wait a minute. Well, and
Yeah.
that's something else I've thought about too, because in Shawshank Redemption, when they're talking to Brooks when he was still in the prison, and they were eating lunch, and somebody asked him, like, when did you go to prison for the first time, and he said he said it was an '05. And it took me a while to figure, for me to like register what that meant. Is it '05? His first trip into prison was in 1905,
Oh, okay. I
and
was
then
like, five,
aught
85?
five, yeah, aught five. And so then I'm sitting here thinking about it. Okay, we're living kind of in that same generational, segment of time 100 years later, almost, exactly 100 years later. So when you think
Yeah.
about it, you say, okay,
The
well,
roaring
the
20s.
Roaring Twenties, or the teens, and then you're like, okay, well, you can't really say the 2000s because that just means all the 2000s. So, like, what do you call it? And then I guess, they were calling it the aught 5, aught 6, aught 7. And, we're calling it '05, '06, '07. Um, but just, I guess for me, it's just the change in vernacular that has really told me that I'm aging.
Yeah.
Um, that's one. Um, Although I will say this, and this has been talked about quite a bit. There've been a lot of studies on it and whatnot. Is the surprise how inept the younger generations are to using technology?
Yeah.
Usually it's the other way around. Usually, like, oh, you know they
Well,
they're born into it. They figure out how to use it, but there's a lot of things that are still being used today that, kids just don't understand how to use.
yeah.
Um,
Well, there it's a weird thing. There's a whole, yeah, like you said, there's studies about. There's a whole their technology literally, like the twins, their age, the kids that are now literally 20 years old, for
yeah,
their basically their whole lives from the time you don't remember or learn technology until you're at least like 3 or 4.
right,
So their whole time, technology hasn't really changed. All it's done is gotten faster.
right. And that's
They've
very
had the internet the whole time. They've
right.
had YouTube almost the whole fucking time. They've had streaming video. They've had internet on your phone. Our generation, literally, we from that age had almost nothing. And then by the time we were like a couple years old, there was like Ataris and Dreamcast, and then we grew up. We went from CDs to DVDs to Blu-rays.
What
Like
was
we
your
went.
what was your first DVD?
Ooh, I don't know. I
I
don't.
can I can tell you what mine was.
I know the first DVD that I bought was I Am Legend.
Okay.
I, I don't remember the first DVD that we might have had when I was still with my mom.
When
Oh, probably Coneheads.
Nice. Um
I still have it, by the way.
my first my first DVD was Chicken Run. That was
Oh, that's a good one.
my very first one. But I'll tell you this: my first DVD that I had that was created with being a DVD in mind, like how you had all the extra features that you could put behind the
Yeah.
scenes and director commentary and whatnot. The first one that we had of that was the Sixth Sense with Bruce
Oh, so you
Willis.
got to see the behind the scenes and whatnot.
Well, that's when I made a huge mistake right out of the gate.
Oh, you watched that first?
Yeah, we watched all the behind the scenes stuff first
Oh, you
because it
fucked
was
up. You
yeah.
ruined the
Well,
whole show.
we didn't know any better. It was
Yeah.
it was the first time that we had ever had the ability to do something like that. So it was like, oh,
Yeah.
let's check this out before we watch
That
the movie.
that's got to be like one of the most well-known movies too for having a fucking great twist ending that
Yeah,
you just
missed it.
the whole fucking movie you don't know.
Yeah, missed it,
And
ruined it.
you
Yeah,
didn't get to experience that.
yeah. It was like 5 minutes into the commentary. Bruce said something along the lines of, "Yeah, it's hard, having to play it not knowing that I'm dead."
Yeah, and you go, "Wait a minute, what?
What?
Pause it. Stop the behind the scenes. We got to watch the movie." Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget that because I just remember looking at my dad going, that's got to be a spoiler, right?
Yeah, whoops. Yeah, so we went from having fucking not having DVDs. We were VHS,
Right.
and then we got VHS you could record on, and then you'd record something on the TV or like on the Disney Channel. I remember doing that so I could rewatch movies from the fucking Disney Channel.
Hmm.
And then we got DVDs, and then like you said, then we finally got DVDs that had like behind the scenes or like widescreen and full screen. Remember
Yeah.
widescreen was fucking huge. Everyone's like, "Oh, which DVD you got?" Remember at first it came on two different DVDs, the
Yeah.
widescreen and the full screen.
Yep.
See, we went through all that, and then we had Walkmans, and then it went from a Walkman to a fucking. Well, at first Walkmans kept advancing. Remember at first they were god awful.
Right.
Just you taking a step would skip fucking 10 seconds. You couldn't walk, you couldn't be in a car using it. And then they got to a point where their skip protection was so fucking good you could ride a bike having a Walkman. I remember
See, I
this.
never had one that was that good.
I remember one riding my bike that I had that was so good I could ride over the fucking train tracks, wouldn't skip a fucking beat. The protection on that was so good. I remember it was like blue and yellow. It was cool. And then we went from that to fucking MP3 players that held like 100 songs
Yeah.
to then how many songs does yours hold to fucking then Bluetooth, and then fucking we went from Bluetooth to a different kind of wireless, and like we've been through fucking all these fucking changes.
Hmm.
So that's why our generation, we're so used to learning a new technology and how, because we've had to change so much from the time we were kids to now,
Right.
from going from dial up internet to fucking DSL to fucking cable to now it's all Wi-Fi and wireless and shit. We've been there the whole time helping our parents try to figure it out
Yeah.
because they were their whole we're like in the perfect, we're in this weird little middle because their whole generation is the exact opposite of the one now. Their
Right.
whole lives they had nothing, and then all of a sudden right at the end they had a whole bunch of stuff happen. So
Right.
us, their kids, had to try and help them. And now this new generation, we're their parents, we know all this stuff. They know what they have now, but you couldn't tell them, all right, go ahead and hook up the dial up.
Right. I remember when the twins were little, well, little-ish. They were 8, 9, 10 years old, and they had they had cheap little RCA tablets that they could watch YouTube on and things like that. And I had our wireless router. You could go in and you could set timers on MAC addresses that a certain time it shuts off their access to the wireless router, so it would turn off
Yeah.
the thing. And I remember getting all of that set up, and it was just like I was doing wizardry. At 9 o'clock, their tablets would just stop working, and they just couldn't figure that one out. And then, I mean, even today, there's I'm having to I was having to help the kids with like getting their laptops to sync with their phones and getting their phones to sync with like the Bluetooth radio and things like that they just couldn't figure out. And it was just really weird because I'm like, wait a minute, you're the generation that's supposed to be like way better at this than I am. How is this
Yeah.
a thing? It's really weird.
Well, that's why, and it's funny too. The better technology gets, and we've kind of talked about this when we talked about AI a few episodes ago. The better technology gets, the it's literally making this next generation. I don't want to say dumber, but I don't know a different way to put it.
Yeah.
When they can go to Chat GPT, hey sweetie, when they go to Chat GPT and literally type in a question and it gives them a whole fucking answer, they don't
Yeah.
have to think about it. They don't have to figure it out. They don't have to learn anything. Like,
Well, I think the other thing too that is a big thing for both the boomers and the Gen Zers is not only understanding how to get the information that they need, but understanding what is real and what is misinformation.
oh yeah, they're not good at all at detecting
No.
that. Where we've grown up where that became a thing.
Yeah. And like
We
we're also mostly responsible for
before
that.
Snopes. Well, yeah, our generation kind of made it up. We invented a lot of the trolling.
Yeah.
Like we literally started easy peasy in Rocket League. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We're trendsetters.
yeah, they're not very good at catching it, and it's the same with them and old people. They don't understand when someone calls them that, you know, it's not real. At the same time as now the younger generation at the same time doesn't understand. No, the IRS is not trying to get your money from you. You're not in trouble. It's literally a scam.
That's
Like,
always what I thought was interesting. You know, there's the joke. You know, when we're growing up, we were told explicitly by our parents, trust nothing on the internet. Trust
but
nothing. Trust no one.
and
Nothing.
they believe every single thing they see on the
Yeah, and
internet.
now it's like, freedomeagle.hatehillary.net says that Hillary is a lizard person, and
Yeah,
they
there's
take
a
it as
badly photoshopped picture of
yeah,
her. Like,
and they take it as gospel, and it's so strange because we
yeah,
can sit and go, how do you, and it's even even my parents have posted or said things that were okay, they were believable, but just a simple Google search would just disprove it, and it wouldn't
yeah.
be an issue. And it's something that
Eh,
I always thought was just so strange. It was like, how do you not how do you not catch that? How do you think that that's real? And it's even and I've even seen the same thing with with the twins, especially when they were finishing up high school, because they go to a very it's effing Matt Damon. What's up, dude? I haven't seen you in a bit. Um,
effing Matt Damon.
uh, they grew up or they went to school in a very conservative um, school,
Yeah,
and of course I'm not. So there's always this so and so said that Trump is doing this and he's the greatest and I'm all that, and I'm like, all right, well, let's you know I think one of the conversations was that, oh, he's such a great family man, he believes in family values. I'm like, okay, that's like, I'm not going to try to sway your political opinion one way or the other, but let's have a
hi princess.
I can see her there. I just see a little head. I love it. Um, but I was like, I'm not going to try to sway your mind one way or the other. But I said, let's learn, let's educate, and let's see what it really means. So I went and I showed them, and like, okay, his first wife, then he cheated on his first wife with his second wife, then he cheated on his second wife with his third wife, and
Yeah,
then
have they not heard the audio clip on the bus?
yeah, and yeah,
Like,
they grab him in the pussy and all that. And I'm like,
yeah,
where do you get the idea of that he has family values and family morals? And so, well, that's what they're saying at school. And you're just, and there's another one of those old. I
yeah,
felt old moments because I really wanted to do the whole. Well, if everybody in your
yeah,
school jumped off a bridge, would you join
yeah.
them? Um,
Well, like, how did we all? Where did we all hear the rumor that uh was it Marilyn Manson that took out one of his ribs?
I don't know where that started or who started that, but
How
I
did that spread without the internet?
but everyone knew that. Everyone believed that was the case, and that wasn't an internet thing. It was just everyone believed it. Everyone knew it. I mean, it was. I mean, it wasn't even questionable. It was like
No,
that's just
yeah, you just
yeah. It was just a known fact. Like, oh
we
yeah,
just
all
knew
right.
it. Yeah,
Like that's weird, but okay. And then of all of the things to make up a rumor about, we get that rumor,
Yeah.
and it just sticks. And I'll never understand the reasoning behind it.
It's so weird. Like, um, trying to think the best way to say it. I don't know. We'll get political here for a sec.
Do it.
You know, sometimes political, sometimes gaming. uh, it along the same line of the Harley riders. Like they're so confident in that. Oh, I don't need a helmet. I'm a good rider. I'm smart. I'm not gonna crash. You
Right.
know, it's not gonna affect me. They're like, I don't think I said it on this podcast. I was telling my wife, or no, I did say it, huh? Where not every Harley rider is a Republican, but they sure have that attitude. It's along that same lines of such sureness of anything that they believe that they refuse to. No, that's what I believe. I will never change my opinion. I don't need new information. I already have all the information I need. And then they think it's so weird when you like change your opinion. They're like, that's
Yeah.
not what you said 2 months ago. It's like, yeah, well, I learned fucking new shit and I was wrong, so I
Yeah.
changed my opinion. They're like so flabbergasted that you can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. COVID was a big thing of how much it evolved as to what it was initially. Everybody, oh, well, it's just a flu. It's just a cold. It's just a really
yeah,
bad flu. You'll be
real
fine.
bad flu.
You know, and then it became this horrible disease that was killing people left and right. And yeah, it really is, stubbornness is a core value. I watched a TikTok yesterday, I think it was, and it was this guy who was a CNA, and he started 2 weeks before the COVID lockdown started.
Ooh, bad
And
time.
yeah, and he's like, I can't speak to what medicine was like before COVID, but all I know is
Yeah,
what COVID is. And he was talking about how it was so surreal being in the hospital where on the first day there's nobody there, and then on the second day it's almost completely full, and then on the third day people are dying.
yeah.
You know, and I have a friend of mine. She was an ER nurse. Well, I don't think she was ER. I'm not sure what she was doing before COVID. Um, but during COVID, she was volunteering in some of the hospitals, and she would share stories of just how absolutely horrible things were in the in the hospitals where they were. She told me about something that I didn't even know was a thing, and it's called proning. And what they would do is you would have
Proning.
proning, so they would put you on a ventilator, and when the ventilator just wasn't working enough, they would flip you over on your stomach and tuck your knees up, like so you're basically laying on your knees kind of down at an angle, and and your head was turned to one side and they had you vented, and that would basically put all of your airway in a straight line to kind of keep things open.
Huh.
And she goes, yeah, we this one of the nurses one day, she said, somewhere decided that that was the idea, and she said that that person probably saved thousands of lives by
Yeah,
giving that person that extra few percentage points of oxygen.
yeah.
Um, just
To
so,
just make it.
yeah, just to make it. And it was stories like that that just really shaped my opinions of COVID. It's like that's how real this stuff was. Um, Heather Heather had been having issues. I think it was I think it was with her gallbladder. Well, it was after she had her gallbladder out. She's had some complications, and I had to take her to the emergency room, and it was like July or August of 2020. So like right at the peak of you know when things were getting really shitty with COVID.
Yeah,
And I remember we had the doctor come in, and they had us in like one little corner that was like for non-COVID patients. It was basically like a closet in the side of the hospital because everything else was for COVID
it's
patients.
COVID. Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, hey, how are you
How do they
doing?
even? Who nurses for them?
What do you
Do
mean?
they get their own?
Oh, they're on. Most of the time they did. Most of the time there was a group that, and they rotated. Like today's shift, you would be working the COVID ward, and then the next day you might not be, or it would just kind of rotate.
Oh,
But I remember asking the doctor, and I was just like, "Hey, I know they haven't figured anything out yet, like how to treat it. Like, is there anything that you guys are figuring or trying to handle or learning or doing um, that seems to be making a difference?" And he said that he was in a group text, like a text chat group with a bunch of the doctors that he graduated med school with,
yeah.
and they were all just sharing ideas on like things that they were trying, and some things that were working, some things that weren't. He was like, I don't know if this is anecdotal or if this is actually making a difference, but we're doing this, we're doing that. And he said that what they were treating, the treatment that they were doing before they figured out the antivirals or anything like that, is they were starting to see that the majority of patients that they were losing them not from suffocating or pneumonia or things like that, but it was blood clots. That
Oh,
COVID messes with your clotting factors in your blood, and they were having a lot of patients that were, they were having heart attacks while they had COVID, which comes back to that
yeah.
whole argument where people are like, "Oh, he had a heart attack, but they counted it as a COVID death." Yeah, they did, because the COVID's what caused the heart attack. But anyway, he said that the first thing that they do at that time, so this was, like I said, the early fall of 2000 or 2020, as soon as you come in the door with COVID symptoms, they would start dosing you with blood thinners, like right out of the
Mm,
gate. But before,
just to hope to
yeah,
prevent it.
he said that they would do that before they gave you oxygen. Like right out of the gate, you walk in, oh, you have COVID here, take these. And I just,
Well,
it was so weird that when you think about any other disease that we've faced in the last 100 years,
yeah.
there either is a treatment for it or there isn't. There is no in between. And with this disease, they were literally just throwing anything and everything at the wall to see what would stick.
Yeah, and almost nothing
And
worked.
and almost nothing worked. And they've just, I don't know how the science works. I would be fascinated to learn the science of
Well,
how.
I think there's still not a way to prevent it. All the shot did, I think, is just made it a little more preventable to catch it in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, it gave your body the defense plans to fight it off, but it still
Yeah.
didn't keep you from
Be,
getting it. It went from, instead of having a really, really mild case of it, you were probably asymptomatic and didn't even know you had it. But
yeah.
you still were a carrier, and you just didn't know.
Well, it's crazy how much we still don't know or understand. But I think the thing that helps so much is because of the internet, because of Twitter and all the stuff of being able to share
It was crowdsourcing.
information so openly and easily. Imagine back in the day, the first dude, remember they kept losing women in childbirth all
Right.
the time because they weren't washing their fucking hands.
Yeah.
And one dude did it and was like, "Oh shit, that worked. My rates have dropped almost nothing." And it still took forever for that to spread. Imagine if they had Twitter back then and dude just tweeted, "Yo, if you just wash your hands
Yeah.
after you birth a baby, like, or before you birth a baby, like, she'll survive. Trust me, bro." Like,
I read a book on the Civil War years ago, and there was a couple of chapters that were dedicated to the medicine that was around the Civil War, because leading up to the Civil War, if you were shot, the most immediate, safest, and most effective treatment for a gunshot wound was to just cut the limb off where that was shot.
yeah, get rid of that
Yeah,
fucking.
just we would just cut it all off, because the wound from the round would fester and get infected, and you die of sepsis. And the medical leaps and bounds that we made during the Civil War, and not just to treat infections and treat injuries, but to, they had a lot of issues with like yellow fever and rheumatic fever and all of the and smallpox, and all of these things that were super communicable diseases that just spread even more rampantly because there were so many dudes in such close quarters, and
Yeah.
there was no hygiene. There was nothing. You know, they wore the same clothes for weeks, if not months. So you know there was no other hygiene. And just the jumps forward in medicine then, and they one guy had the idea of it was how alcohol would kill vegetation, like kill plants. Like if you poured your whiskey out on the ground, it would kill the grass in that area.
Yeah.
And he got the idea that they knew that infections were caused by bacteria, but they just didn't know what it was or anything else, like how to deal with it. So one dude got the idea of using the alcohol and pouring it on the wounds, and it would help clean it. And then he went on to develop a liquid that was basically pure alcohol that he was pouring on wounds to help clean wounds during surgeries. And after the war, he had it patented, and it became Listerine. Like that was where Listerine got its start, was in the Civil War,
Mm.
using as an antiseptic to clean gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
And I was just think that's really neat, like how these times of really really bad like strife, all of these huge medical advancements, come forward out of it. You know, even though COVID did what it did and completely decimated entire populations of people,
Yeah.
we've had
Yeah.
huge
Millions.
we've had huge leap forwards in medicine because of it. You know, the
Well,
mRNA.
it also like helped the WHO and countries collaborate more than they ever have, all working towards the same thing.
Yeah. Well,
It's never happened like this.
one of the things that have come out of it that I think is amazing is they've developed mRNA medications and vaccines that are being used to treat Alzheimer's. That, thanks to the advancements in the mRNA technology that we used for COVID, they're now developing drugs that they're not reversing Alzheimer's, because once the damage is done, we haven't figured out a way to repair it. But we've learned it just essentially stops Alzheimer's in its tracks. Like it's not curable. It's just, you just end it. You're not going to get any worse from it, which is something that we've been trying to overcome for decades. And it's now, thanks to things like the mRNA vaccines, they're it's treatable now. Parkinson's is treatable. Certain types of MS are treatable because of all these new ways of using the mRNA vaccines and developing new medications using that technology. And, millions of people had to die for us to get there, but
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately.
it sucks that's what it took. It sucks that there was such a
Well, like you've always said, yeah, the Germans killed a lot of Jews, but they sure advanced science.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they did. Yeah, well, at the war in general. I mean, what we were
Yeah.
doing from World War I to World War II, like we got, as a species, we got really good at killing each other. Like we
Oh
got
yeah.
really really efficient with the ways in which that we killed each other. And
Imagine the medicine, like, because it's pretty much always happened. Like I know it's so hard to envision because all the technology and all the stuff we have now, but it's pretty much always happened. Every 100 years is so different to the 100 years prior,
right,
and like all the new advances in medicine and clothes and culture and fucking going from riding horses to cars to then planes to fucking hover bikes and shit, fucking bird scooters on every fucking corner that you
wasn't
can
it?
just scan with your phone. Like imagine in 100 years.
Oh yeah.
It,
Well, I
you
think
can't
it's
even imagine it. It's stuff that we couldn't even. You can't even fathom what it's gonna be. They couldn't imagine in the 20s. You couldn't tell them, yeah, you'll carry this little device about the size of the palm of your hand, and it'll have everything in it. Everything, every
you will have
question,
access to
every
e-
recipe,
every
every
piece of human
picture.
knowledge.
You can call anyone in the entire world,
Yeah.
people you didn't even know exist on the other side of the world. You can stream live you to them, live them. Like they couldn't even imagine that. Like
It'd be almost impossible to explain it in a way that they would understand it.
Yeah.
You know,
I know.
but I
I
mean,
need to rewatch that Martin Lawrence movie, the one where he goes back in time. What's that? Black Knight? What is
Black
that
Knight,
called?
yeah.
I need to rewatch that
Well, I think
because don't they talk about that a little bit?
I believe so.
I think it came out in like 2000. It came out in 2001. I was gonna say 2004. So phones weren't really what they are now
No.
back then.
Well,
Even back then, we couldn't imagine what we have now.
I think my favorite kind of piece of trivia to tie that in is there's only 60 years between the moment we learned how to fly and landing on the moon.
Yeah,
There's
it's
only
insane.
60 years. And if you think about it, that was 60 years ago.
Yeah, what's gonna be in 60
Yeah,
years
what are we
from
going to get
now?
next? But
We're gonna be on fucking Jupiter,
yeah.
Saturn. We're gonna go there. Like
Well, I mean,
literally,
there's,
people go there. I
yeah,
mean, we'll send the billionaires there so they can go die there.
that'd be nice. Well, I've always said, what you call 100 billionaires at the bottom of the ocean? It's a good start.
A good start. Yeah. Well, I saw this statistic the other day. That was fucking crazy to think about. It was I'm not gonna remember the exact numbers, and they don't really matter, and I'm not gonna look them up, even though we could Google.
Even though
But
we,
in
we have
2000,
access to all that technology and
yeah,
knowledge. Yeah.
in 2013, I'm gonna go from memory here. In 2013, Elon Musk had about 2.2 billion dollars. In 2013, Mark Zuckerberg had, I think it was like 1.8 billion dollars, and in 2013, uh, Jeff Bezos had, I believe it was like $3 or $4 billion, something like that. So he was still richer than they were, if I remember the numbers right. It doesn't matter. Let's just say they all had 2 billion. It doesn't matter. The point of it is now, 10 years later, uh, Elon Musk is now pushing 200 billion.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg has about 168 billion. Uh, Daddy Bezos has about 186 billion.
Yeah, he'd have had more if he'd had a prenup.
Yeah, and and the craziest part of that statistic, which should open your eyes, but again, like Rabel said, stubbornness is the core value for some people. People just refuse to see this and believe it, and they don't understand why we're making fun of billionaires that died at the bottom of the ocean. In 2013, the federal minimum wage was 7.25. Guess what it still is in 2023?
725.
So their wealth grew 100-fold. All these billionaires,
Yep.
there's more. That's just three,
Yeah.
that we named. There's all these super wealthy rich people that have had their wealth grow 100, thousands fold, 1,000 times more than they had 10 years ago, and they're still paying, the working force the same amount of money. And it was crazy when we were driving home today. I mean, we were looking at bikes and talking about that whole thing. The craziest thing I saw, though, that I do not understand, and I don't know how it's still going on. The retail, not retail, the realtor market right now. We were driving home, and in the couple miles from the store we were at to getting to my house, I saw two new developments that like just started, like this month. Like they're building townhouses, and I don't know how it is out where you're at, but here in Utah, they're building townhomes and apartment buildings, and they're popping up fucking everywhere. Like I could show you, it'd be crazy. I could literally live stream, drive for 20 minutes, and show you all these new developments that are mostly empty. Ones that are like open, finished building that are just mostly empty, because literally no business has moved here.
Yeah.
Only businesses have closed. All they're opening, all they're doing is investing all this money into the fucking into the housing market, and it's literally crashing. And they just keep investing more. It's
I'm
insane.
I'm patiently waiting for the bottom to fall out of the housing market because
I
one of
don't
the
get like,
well, one of the things that I saw earlier yesterday, I think it was, I was reading a news article where you know people are the Airbnb market is collapsing. Like nobody's using Airbnb. Like I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they've gone back to
yeah.
hotels
Oh
or
yeah, about the amount of people that have just been buying up
yeah,
properties to rent on Airbnb.
they're now not making their money back. They're not making any money off of it. So
I love it.
within the next 6 to 8 months, they're not going to have a choice but to sell their properties because they're not going to be. They thought that, well, if I have Airbnb, I can use it to make the mortgage,
Yeah.
and they're
It's
now
it's it,
they're
it's
they're
crazy. Like,
hemorrhaging, and I love it. I think it's great. You know,
oh, I'm loving it. I can't wait for the memes. I hope they're anywhere near as funny as the submarine billionaire memes. But
oh, I'm
I
I, I'm
I
I'm waiting. It's going to be so.
what's the first lesson you learn in economy? Like in high school, what's the first thing they teach you? Literally, the first phrase they teach you. Maybe not nowadays.
I guess it probably will be supply and demand.
Okay, supply and demand.
Yeah.
So what happens when you have nothing but supply?
Now we have nothing but supply. The price drops.
Okay, but they keep raising the price. They keep forcing it up because they're controlling all the supply and they
Right.
keep building more and more and more supply and they keep raising it. What eventually happens when there's no demand for your overpriced bullshit?
The government has to step in and bail them out because we have to protect them, but we can't bail out the student loans. Did
Yeah.
I get
Oh
that
yeah,
right?
that's right. Yep, that's
Okay,
it.
just making sure. Yeah, that's one of the things that I am happily, patiently, gleefully waiting because we saw what happened with the housing market in '07, '08. You know, and we saw what happened with the banking industry in that same time frame because they were writing out loans, especially on the banking side, is they were literally writing out loans to people that they knew wouldn't be able to pay it
Yeah.
back. They I mean they that
Shit,
was
my bad.
that was the whole reason why they called it subprime mortgages. They were not
Yeah.
good mortgages. So they've been giving all these, they gave all this money out to people that couldn't pay it back, and then all of a sudden, when the banks needed the money that they were supposed to be getting from their mortgage payments didn't happen, the banking industry collapsed. The government stepped in. I'm
Yeah,
I,
it's crazy that just randomly on a whatever random Thursday that the Pentagon can come up with $6 billion, the government can come up with all this money to just do whatever.
Yeah, and then you turn around and well, I'm waiting for the Navient and the Navient is the one that Heather has, so I know that
Navi, is that the
that's the
new James Cameron movie?
yeah.
The Navi.
Um, but that's who her student loans are through or was, um, but there's no at least with houses
Yeah,
when when they gave you money for your mortgage and they gave you they gave you money, you gave them the title to your home. There was something tangible there.
yeah.
Even if they gave you $300,000 and the home was only worth 100, okay, they were still able to recoup 30% of their money. All right. Now looking at what they're doing with student loans is there's nothing backing them. There's no collateral. There's no physical property that's being put up. If somebody can't pay their student loan back, the money is just it's just
The hell
imaginary
is that?
numbers that are sitting out there. But what I learned earlier in the week that really upset me, and I'm still angry about it, and I hope the people that are doing it get fucked, is they're doing the exact same thing to student loans as they did with the subprime mortgages in 2006 and 2007. They're
Are they
they're
shorting them
they're packaging them up and they're offering them as hedge funds. And
between banks?
yep,
They're doing the same thing,
they're doing
selling them across,
they're
making
doing
money across.
they're doing the exact same thing that they were doing with the mortgages. But at least with the mortgages, there was something physical to back it up.
Yeah,
There is nothing tangible for us, for a student
student
loan.
loan, nothing.
So
Yeah.
they're gonna,
Well, they'll get bailed out and be fine. I saw the funniest thing, which uh, almost made me cry. How real it was. Not really, but you'll see what I mean. Uh, on TikTok, someone said, "You know what we all should have done during COVID? We should have just all started our own businesses and taken out PPP loans
that's what the
and
rich
paid our
people did.
student debt and paid our student debt with that."
Yeah, that's what the rich people did.
Yeah, because then you would have been forgiven. You would have been just fine. You can forgive the PPP loan, but you can't forgive the student debt.
Yeah, we gave out more money in PPP loans than what's owed on student loans,
Yeah, and it's
and we're able
basically
we
all been
yeah.
forgiven.
And now I mean, and I can say that our company, we definitely benefited from the PPP money. It kept our doors
Yeah,
open.
you probably needed it, but
We
the
did.
millionaires that took it out
Yeah. Well,
and then
I think
begged for forgiveness that they couldn't pay it back,
I
and
think
they
what got me was we took a little over $24,000 in PPP money, And I asked for more. That didn't even cover one person's salary for the year. Um,
Yeah.
I asked for was it 369? I asked for just short of $100,000 on the forms that we filled out.
Yeah. And they
And
said, can't possibly. We
no, we
don't have
can't
that
give you
kind
that.
of money.
Mm-mm.
But we do have a new development popping up in your
Yeah,
area that costs about 500,000
yeah,
that nobody's going to live in because nobody's looking for houses. Everyone's looking for jobs.
yeah. Well, I just thought that was just fascinating. That I spent days working on the paperwork for the PPP money,
Yeah.
and I lost sleep going. If something happens and they don't forgive this money,
Yeah. You're going to be,
I don't know how we're going to pay back $24,000.
yeah.
You know, and that was of course my father was freaking out about it, and I'm like, look, we're going to be fine. He goes, well, how do you know you're going to be fine? I was like, we're going to be fine because they've given this money to all the wealthy. It's
Yeah.
going to
The
be fine.
wealthy, they're going to forgive it.
Yep, and that's what I told him. I was like, don't worry about it. They're going to forgive it. Um, we know it's going to be the case because all the right people are getting this money.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
Yeah. No, I should have started the business as soon as I saw that. As soon as I saw they were giving it out to the people that make the laws, of course they're
yep.
going to fucking forgive
I
it.
I wish I would have had the foresight to form a corporation before they did the PPP.
Hmm.
And what gets me is I mean I know
Did
how
they
it
have
was
a
done.
rule of? Did they have a rule of how recently you could have been formed?
Yeah, yeah. You had to your corporation had to have been formed in the year prior. So in 2021, I think is when the PP. No, it was in 2020. When the money went out in 2020, you had to have your company in 2019.
Uh,
So, like I said, you had to have had the foresight to know, you know.
that it was
But
going to happen. Yeah.
but this is why I come back and I say every single person, I don't care what you do in your job. It doesn't matter what you do. Even if you don't do anything, you don't have a job, don't care. Pay the $120 that it takes a year and maintain a corporation in your name. Maintain an S corporation that is, Oreo Incorporated. Mine
Yeah.
is the Simpson Consortium, and maintain it. All you got to do is pay the filing fee to maintain your corporation to retain that. So if anything ever happens like that again, you're already set up. You already have your tax ID number. You've got everything. Even if you don't use it,
Well,
doesn't matter.
the way the economy's going, I'm not going to be surprised if another crash or something crazy happens. That
Yep.
they're overloading their pockets at the top, and as much as they say it's going to trickle down, they've shut off every faucet. They're not letting anything trickle down anymore.
No,
They're hoarding more than they've ever
no.
hoarded before.
Trickle down was a lie.
Yeah.
Trickle down was 100% lie put on by, the Reagan era Republicans to
Yeah, they,
consolidate wealth and eliminate government oversight.
yeah,
That's
just
what it was.
another bullshit lie. But
Because if trickle down economics actually worked, you wouldn't have Walmart employees on welfare. That's
yeah,
the bottom line, and that's what kills me. That I just don't understand why our government doesn't go after these people. I mean, I do. It's because they're lining the pockets of the politicians.
because they're there.
But it just blows my mind that we're allowed the corporations are allowed to take all of their profits and give it back to their investors and give it back as stocks or stock buybacks and all those things.
Won't give their
While
CEO a $60 million
yeah,
bonus.
while meanwhile they're having the government
Yeah,
subsidize.
subsidize their workers.
Yeah, and just like we always bitch about, oh, the government
It's not
subsidies.
even the government. It's us.
Yeah.
The small portion that they're given the smallest portion they can, but they're taking what we're giving them and giving it back.
Well, and I think that's what really made a big difference, and that changed a lot of the way a
Oh
lot of
shit.
people see and saw economics, especially going through the 2007 to 2010 2012. Was
Yeah.
you had people that were middle management, they were in their 40s, they had worked their way up through corporate, and they had a really nice cushy job of like vice president executive of something or another, and they really didn't do much, but they had this really nice title and whatever. And then when the banking industry collapsed, all these corporations were forced to lay off and fire employees, and that middle management was one of the first things to go. So now you have this 40 something that has to make money. That he's mortgaged to the gills. He's probably got a car payment. Chances are he's in his 40s. He probably has alimony. So he has all these things he has to pay, and he has to find a job. And the only thing that's hiring is Walmart or Burger
Yeah.
King or one of those places. So then you have him. If I'm a hiring manager of Walmart or Burger King or pick a place, and I have two applications. One application is a 40-year-old guy who has maybe worked 3 jobs in the last 20 years. And he's had that steady of employment. And then on my other application here is a 17-year-old high school student that this is his first job. Who are you going to hire? Well, you're gonna hire the middle management guy because you know he's going to show up. You know that he needs to make money, so he's not going to lay
Yeah.
out of work. He's not going to be
When you can pay him the same amount you're going
Yeah.
to pay the other guy and get
Yeah.
better quality work out of it.
exactly. And then that's one of my issues. But then my next where we're at now, and I love that we're at this point now, and it's slowly starting to affect wages here locally. It's real negligible, but it's just noticeable.
What is that?
The people are like, well, nobody wants to work anymore. Well, that's because we're already working 2 jobs, Karen. Like,
Yeah,
we
nobody
already
wants to work at
yeah.
your.
Well, I
Yeah,
tell
I'm
people
already
it's like,
working as much as I possibly can,
Yeah.
and I have a side hustle going, and I can't.
it's like, I've told people this, and it was like, no, it's not that they don't want to work, it's that they don't want to work for you, because right now everyone's hiring, everybody has a help wanted sign in their door, so it's a a seller's market for their labor. I can choose to go anywhere I want to go. And you're going to have to work to keep me, which means you're going to have to offer more money starting out, and it's starting to make a difference. Like, I noticed that the Sheets, the gas station, they're now starting their managers out. Their daytime managers, they're starting them out at $17 an hour, and if you're willing to work overnight, they'll give you like an extra 75 cents, and which is unheard of when you think about a gas station manager, making 16, 17, $18, and so we're slowly going to see those those wages have to go up, but we've had
Yeah.
almost 3 years worth of corporations overinflating the costs of their goods because supply chain.
Yeah, well,
You know,
they've also I don't know how much you follow it, but there's been a lot of crazy shit happening in the tech industry.
mm-hmm.
They've been laying off people like crazy.
Yep.
One of the number one positions they've been laying off is project managers.
Yep.
You go on LinkedIn or any fucking Google. Don't look for project manager listings. Look for people to ex project manager. Like the amount of project managers that no longer exist in the tech world. They're doing the same thing. They're cutting the fat.
Yeah.
And it's happening at the richest, the industries, all the tech industries and the video game industries, and there's cutting like crazy.
Well, it's the backlash. I mean, backlash isn't the right word, but I mean, basically, it's like the balancing of the way it was in 2020 into 2021, where everybody was at home. So everything went online. You were buying your groceries online. You were streaming. You were video. Everything you did had to be online because you couldn't go anywhere. So all of these tech companies gobbled up people left and right to maintain their companies because they needed the extra, online service people or the IT managers or whatever. They needed all this new infrastructure for their companies because there was so much weight going into it from consumers. And now everything's opening back up again. I saw a thing that hotels are starting to become full again, and everybody's traveling. And this summer has been a great summer for the airlines and just travel in general, because everybody's finally able to get out and do stuff.
Well, it's slowly normalized. It still has a ways to go,
Yeah,
and things might not crash. The only thing that's definitely going to crash is the housing market.
housing, without a doubt, housing is going to crash.
The regular economy as a whole might not crash. Probably all the prices will come back down. It blows my mind when almost like every week I see a new product that is literally doubled its price on the shelf.
Yeah,
And then you see them bragging about 60% profits and shit like
yeah,
that. It's like,
they're
so
not even hiding it.
we're still doing this.
Yeah, they're not
You
even hiding it.
ju-
Y-
just as long as you possibly can,
Yeah,
people are still buying it. You're still making money, so you're just and gonna squeeze that tea as hard as you can
yeah,
until the last drop of milk comes out and goes, all right, fucking let it go. I guess lower the price.
yeah.
Fucking these these selfish fucking middle class and poor workers just trying to live off of the state. That's rich too, and all the rich people like that. That if you, I've absolutely loved all the memes and stuff of like when any fucking like business, when they go out of business or they're struggling or whatever, like and they the internet, our generation comes out and goes, have you just tried not having so much avocado toast?
Well, I'll tell you this:
Like,
that we are my company is benefiting. I can say that now. My company. That's weird to say. My company is now benefiting from that type of attitude. One of the things that we would do as basically subcontractors is we would go work for this other company that was doing high-end fire systems for companies like IBM, Dell, Hewlett Packard, where they're actually producing their own microchips. They're actually the ones that are the chip manufacturers,
yeah,
and the amount of nasty, terrible liquids that are used to clean and process these microchips is horrifying. Hydrofluoric acid, hydrochloric acid. I mean, really, really nasty shit, and
oh
stuff
yeah,
that is very, very flammable.
hmm,
So we would go for we work for this company and we go and install these fire systems, and I started working for them in the early 2000s in aught 5, aught 4, and we would go to these places, and it was great work. It was fun work. We were seeing the world, lots of traveling, and they were making money just hand over fist. I mean, they had jobs all over the world doing things, and over the course of the last 20 years, the family that owned the company was essentially treating the company as like their own piggy bank. They if they bought a car, the company bought it. Their cell phones were paid for by the company. Their homes were bought by the company, and they just, instead of reinvesting the money and growing their business, they would just take everything down to the last dollar and spend it on themselves.
yeah.
So when COVID hit and all of that,
The fucking habits of the poor.
right,
They were doing the same thing but a higher level.
right. Um, when COVID hit and everything shut down, and then over the last 10, 15 years, we've been slowly moving our chip manufacturing to China, to, well, not China, but to Taiwan and for the Philippines, Malaysia. Um,
Yeah,
we were all they were subbing out and sending everything overseas, and then COVID hit, and they can't they you can't get the chips and whatnot imported back into the U.S. One of the things that I do uh, applaud Biden for doing is the Chips Act, where we're investing more money into the semiconductor industry here in the United States. Um,
which they should have
which
already.
they should have, yeah, they should have never. I mean, it should have been considered a
There's
national security issue. They never should have been allowed to send,
Yeah. It's
to,
too bad their pockets are so lined. There should be laws set up already that if you conduct business in America, it's better for you.
right.
But it's not. There's literally no incentive. You save so much money by conducting business literally anywhere else, any other
Well,
country.
it's the balancing act that corporations and government has to, because we you want to have the right type of oversight over top of the companies to make sure they're not absolutely scamming and ripping off the customers and their employees. But then on the
Yeah.
other hand, you don't want to regulate them into the ground to where they take everything and they move it elsewhere. I mean, in my honest opinion, I think it should be regulated to the point where they can't. If you were doing business in the United States and your company is in the United States, it doesn't matter where the money is being moved elsewhere. It's if it goes to Ireland, who cares? It still gets taxed. The Cayman
Yeah, it's
Islands don't
still
care, still gets
yeah.
taxed. You know, and because that's the problem is they've these tax havens have been created um, to subvert American laws. The American laws that the billionaires put in place, but then they subverted their own laws and allowed things to be go outside the country when they could just as easily change the laws of the United States where that wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
But
but they make money to be lobbied to not do that.
right,
Like
yeah, it's wild though
it's
how money
it's
moves
crazy
through
that like
Washington.
the funniest part is because they're so selfish and so hyper focused on just their industry, and every single one of them is doing that. They don't realize that if, as a whole, if all of us had more money over here, there would be more money in
Yeah.
circulation. Yeah, the top 1% might not have as much, but all the fucking dummies
Well, what
in Congress and making the laws,
you could take
they could benefit so much more if our economy as a whole was doing better than just taking their, little fees they got.
you could take half the money away from the 1%, and they'd still be the 1%. Like it really wouldn't
Yeah.
change anything. Like they would
The
still be the wealthiest people on the planet.
Yeah,
You
a
know.
billion is so much fucking money, and I
Well,
know we've talked about it on the show before, but like the it's so much fucking money. Like the
yeah,
best
it'll
one
be
I've
one
heard,
one
and
day.
there's so many fucking analogies of a billion versus a million. The best one I've ever heard is you're born, and to reach 1,000,000 seconds from the time you're born, you'll hit 1,000,000 seconds in 11 days. 11 days old, you'll be 1,000,000 seconds old. To hit 1,000,000,000 seconds, you
Like
won't hit
10
a
years.
billion seconds until 32 years old.
Okay. Well,
That's the difference between a million and a billion. And these guys have all three of those people we mentioned all have more than 160 billion.
I tell people this. I say, all right, Oreo, I'm going to grant you immortality and the ability to time travel. And what you're going to do is you're going to go back in time to when the construction of the pyramids began, and then I'm going to pay you $1,000 an hour for 40 hours a week from that point until right
Yeah.
now, and Elon Musk would still have twice the amount of money you have.
Yeah. No,
Like
if
that's
you
how much money these people have.
yeah, no, it's
It's
insane.
it's
Like
it's un it's unreal. It's unheard of what they're there's and I think what's really interesting is we talk about the 1% and you immediately think of the Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, those types of
yeah,
people.
they
But
don't even touch the trillionaires in fucking like
there's
Dubai.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals whom we don't know who they are. They're not out there flaunting their wealth. They're not out there buying Twitter. They're sitting on a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And
I only know of one that I know 100% exists. He lives in Abu Dhabi,
I
and
want to visit there so bad.
like he's one of the princes. And the only way I don't know his name, I only know he exists because he's one of the best friends of Russell Peters, and Russell Peters talks about him all the fucking time. He talks about him like Russell Peters has a joke where he went over there to go visit him, and he was supposed to do a private comedy show. You know who Russell Peters is,
Hmm.
right? The Indian comic.
Yeah.
He went to go do a private show for this guy over there, uh, and he they flew him over there on a private jet, and he just like commented, "Oh, that's a nice watch," and he took it off and gave it to Russell, and Russell's like, "Oh no, no, I can't take that." It was like a $200,000 watch, and like I guess I can't remember if Lil Wayne was with him at the time or it was later, but there's another time where the same guy, Lil Wayne, rapper extraordinaire, whatever, who's also rich, he was also over there. I think to see the Russell Peters show. I can't remember, but that doesn't matter to the story. He had commented they pulled up to the hotel in like a Lamborghini SUV. I don't remember the model because I'm fucking that's
You're
above my
poor.
pay grade. Yeah, I don't know what the fucking model is. A Lamborghini fucking SUV. All I know is the story is Lil Wayne said, "Oh, that's nice," and the guy said, "Yeah, what's your favorite color?" And Lil Wayne said, "I don't know, black." Lil Wayne said a week later at his house, one of those showed up,
Yeah,
just a black, just delivered
yeah.
to his fucking
And
house. Like
it doesn't even it doesn't even
it's
matter.
it's nothing to the time it took to deliver that to him. He made that money back,
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily.
trillionaire. The amount of money that's in fucking Afghanistan and
Oh, in the Middle
just
East in
the Middle
general.
East,
Yeah.
like
It's funny that we talk about the disparity between the haves and the have-nots in the West. The disparity between the haves and the have-nots in the Middle East.
oh, over there, insane.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have running water. They don't have indoor plumbing. You know,
Yeah, and then you have a guy that lives in a
yeah,
100-story hotel.
yeah,
That's
gold
all
plated
his.
everything. Yeah, it's so wild. I think one of the things
Yeah.
that gets me that just blows my mind is gas is free over there. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
don't pay for it. It's just
No, no.
you know
There's something that blows my mind even more. Okay.
is that the
Be okay.
cars?
So supercars are so regular over there. They're just everywhere.
Yeah,
You might have heard this story before, but there's a bunch of people that uh, so there's varying levels of richness, like you said over there. But
right.
because supercars are everywhere, because people like that own hundreds of them, they're all over the place. It's a regular thing that a lot of people have those cars, even when you can't really afford them. Well, there's some of those rich people and the poor people. There's supercars abandoned all over the place. They're just
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the fucking middle of the sand
Yeah.
because they didn't pay their insurance or it didn't start or whatever, and they just went, fuck it, and they just left it there.
Well, they're domestically produced cars there.
Yeah,
That's what gets me is you see Lamborghinis, you see Ferraris, you see all I can't think of any of the other big ones off the top of my head, but the Alfa Romano or Romani or whatever. You see all of these like super high end cars, the Bugattis, whatever. They're so common, but then what you don't see a lot of, you don't see a lot of Corvettes, you don't see a lot of Mustangs, you don't see, what we
no,
can, because those are import cars for them. So, it's much cheaper to have one of these high end cars because you're not having to worry about the import prices and what it takes and not just the cost, but just the logistics of getting that car from the United States, to wherever they're at. And I always just find that fascinating is, you see all of these, BMWs, Mercedes, all these really nice high end cars, and there's not a single Corvette or any of
yeah, or Mustang or
Mustangs,
yeah, anything.
Vipers, or any of the traditional American cars. Um, I just think that's neat. But the fact that the gas is just that's their number one export. They have so much of it, they just give it away. It doesn't even matter. Like you can drive for days and days and days and days, thousands of gallons of gasoline, and it never hit their bottom line. It doesn't even register. They have so much. And then over here, we're paying $3.50 a gallon, or more. I'm sure like in California, it's $5 or whatever a gallon. I think right here, um, I think today, I think gas here is like 3.24, 3.25 a gallon, something like that. It's insane. It's insane.
I'm trying to do some math.
Uh oh.
Damn it! Come on, come on, come on, come on! I'm trying to do math. Hold on. Because $1 million a day, right? That's
Okay.
easy to figure out. In 1 year, that's 365 million.
Right.
That's nothing,
No.
unfortunately.
No.
At this level that we're talking, to me and you, that's fucking everything. That's life changing money.
I can't. $1 million, $500,000
Yeah,
is
it's
life
so much
changing
fucking
money.
money.
You know.
That's more than we'll make our rest of our
Yeah.
lives. Like it's insane amount of money. Like so, but I'm trying to figure out 1 million. I'm trying to do the. Let's see, how many hour 24. Okay, how much is that? So if you made $1 million an hour,
Okay.
so you're making $1 million an hour. How much do you think you make in a year?
All right. Now, is this for 24 hours, or are we going to base this on 40 hours a week?
No, we'll say you're making $1 million an hour every single hour the whole year.
$1 million is 24 hours.
You cut out all your avocado toast.
Man,
You cut out the morning coffee.
uh, I'm gonna say $7.4 billion.
It's really close. $8.7 billion
I
in
think
a
I have my
year.
math. It was close.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so you still making $1 million an hour every single hour of the day, not even just 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Every
A
day,
million dollars.
every hour.
That's still only let's even call it nine. Let's even round up. So you got some bonuses in there. Taxes were really good to you. Your tax cuts, and you got the
Yeah.
CEO bonus. And
Yeah, the
nine
politician you
billion
bought off.
dollars. Yeah. So let's say Elon has 200. You still have 22 times less money than he does. You're
Yep.
making $1 million an hour. He still has 22 times more money than you do.
Yeah. It's insane.
And that year that it took you to get there, he made that 9 million. He made that $9 billion too. That
Yeah. Yeah. And
that
then
that's
some.
literally that's literally how much these guys are making. They're making millions of dollars an hour.
And you'll never catch up to him. Never.
Yeah, you'll never get there.
Not unless we can get lucky and stuff him into a fucking submarine.
Man, I wish I could remember the other one. Bernie talked about it one time back when he was actually on the RT podcast. I wish I could remember it. I think it was if you put $1 million on a pallet, right? You took $1 million in ones, you
Mm-hmm.
loaded it on a pallet, even though $1 million in ones wouldn't even take a whole pallet. Let's just say it would. It would take, I think it was 8 football stadiums of pallets to be $1 billion.
I don't believe it.
Like I think these people when they defend them and are like, why are you making fun of the billionaires at the bottom of the ocean? You you
Because there's not
cannot
enough of them
become a
at
you
the bottom.
cannot become a billionaire without doing some shady shit and exploiting a lot of people. It
There, yeah,
doesn't have
there's no
you
way.
you you're not comprehending how much $1 billion is. Like they're not understanding. They hear it because they're so far away from a million. A majority of us are so far away from a million. To us, it's kind of the same thing. A billion is just like the next step up. It's like, yeah,
Right.
yeah, you hit a million and then you make a few good business moves and then you hit a billion. Yeah, it happens. What do you
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Let's go for 100,000 first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The no, the man.
Oh
I
yeah.
think
That one ticket.
somebody did the math on the people that bought the tickets for the sub, which who even them they only had like 1 or 2 billion. Some of the people on the sub, even to them, that ticket was literally like $7
Yeah.
for how much money they have, the equivalent that
Right.
they're making per hour versus you and me. That's like spending $7. You're telling
That
me that
that
you also don't get to that level without having the Harley rider mentality. That's
yeah.
why they weren't scared of being on the sub. Other than his son, who seemed like he had a head on his shoulders. He was
Well,
actually smart, saying, "This seems kind of dangerous. I don't want to go down
I
there." The rest of
think
them, so full of themselves. That's how you get to $1 billion. You're so full of yourself, you can't do anything wrong. Nothing bad will ever happen to you. You know how like a teenager, the first time they start driving, they don't understand how dangerous cars are and like
hmm
how often car accidents happen, and you can't explain it to them, and they like don't really understand. They're always so, oh, no, never happened to me.
right.
That's how like billionaires think in everyday life. Like that's why they hopped on the sub. I
Well,
get it. I get why they got on there.
yeah, those like Rabble said, the tickets are worth more than my house. Um, one ticket is more than twice what the value of my home is. That's just well, it's yeah, actually yeah, it is. It's twice the value of my home. You know, and riding down a hill. But yeah, no, it's
Yeah, exactly. When some idiot takes the brakes off his fucking bike and starts riding down a hill
well, it's
towards an
also
electric fence.
it's also the other issue too with these people. It's not that they can do no wrong, it's that they've probably were raised in an environment where they didn't.
Yeah.
They were probably
Well, yeah.
perfect,
Look,
little
look.
angels in the eyes of their parents, and they have so much money that it's the same reason why Donald Trump is the way Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
Donald Trump
Well,
is
he grew up in a rich family. That
well
that
not
that was the
yeah well not just that, but if you're just an average Joe, all right, and you begin working at Trump Tower. You're say a door you're a bellhop, you're a doorman. And through working long hours, showing up early, you work your way up to you're a front desk clerk, and then you become friends with one of Trump's assistants and whatnot through booking rooms and stuff like that, and you use your influence to get moved up to maybe a management position at the Trump Hotel, and next thing you know, you're in close contact with Donald Trump on a consistent basis. You're near him, and Trump asks you to do something. It's one of those things where if he asks you to jump, you're not even going to ask how high. You just jump. It doesn't matter. You do it because you've gotten so close to power that you don't want to lose that power. So what you end up doing is you say, it's the yes man. You say yes to anything and everything these people want because you're afraid of losing your status, being
Yeah.
close to a billionaire, close to a millionaire, and you create this environment for these millionaires and billionaires where no one tells you no because they don't want to be the person. Do you want to be the person to tell Donald Trump no?
Yeah. Well,
You should, but
yeah,
you know,
that only feeds into the problem. Do
right.
you think anyone has told, other than his wife, do you think anyone has told Jeff Bezos no in the last 10 years?
No, not in the least. And
No.
if you look at Donald Trump's political career, especially as the last couple of years as president, he had people around him. Actually, we'll back up. We're going to go to his first 2 years as president. Um, he brought in some people to be in his circle, his advisors, that were excellent choices. I don't know, and a lot of it has to do with Chris Christie and how he's the voice of reason. We'll deal with that later. Um, but like Jim Mattis, for example, the general that was brought in to be his chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Like he was an excellent choice. There's no better general to have in a political arena than Jim Mattis. And what happened when Donald Trump wanted to do something politically militarily that was bad? Jim Mattis said no. We can't do that. Are you fucking crazy? And he probably said it just like that. Are you fucking crazy? And all of a sudden, somebody said no to Donald Trump. What happened to Jim Mattis? He was fired. He was immediately fired. He was gotten rid of. He was talking. Then he went on to talk about how he really was just a dog. Being a mad dog, Mattis, and all this. And he talked all this kinds of shit about him afterwards. And it's not because he was bad at his job. It was
No.
because Jim Mattis stood up and said no. And there was a lot. James Comey was another example of that. You had all of these really really well connected, politicians or bureaucrats or whatever you want to call them, and they were right up next to Donald Trump, and he wanted to do something that was completely insane, and they told him no, and he got rid of them. That's why the last year and a half of his presidency was utter fucking chaos. It was
Yeah.
because all of the people that were like the sane voices in the room weren't there anymore. Like it was nothing but yes men.
Yeah, that's who he kept around
Yeah,
to. Yeah, yeah. See, I knew I was I
yeah.
am a genius.
And I mean that's why and you're looking at the trouble that he's in now for all the documents and stuff that he's the latest thing that was gotten on audio tape was him showing a journalist these battle plans to invade Iran. Like these
Yeah.
were legitimate. He had these drawn up. Some goober in the military was handed the orders to be. If we were to invade Iran, what would that look like? You know,
I, I
and he
I have a
did.
business idea.
All right,
I know we're taking another tangent. We'll
let's
we'll
do it.
end, we'll end the podcast soon. I just had a business idea.
Okay,
You kind of formulated it, but I don't think you put it together that the opportunity's there.
okay, I like it.
So I'm going to give you the name, and you're going to know right away what it is.
Okay,
We're going to call it Billionaire Buddies.
okay.
So what it's going to be is average Joes, but people that aren't willing, or aren't sorry, they are willing. They aren't scared. They're not afraid to put you in your place. Imagine like Zuckerberg. They're going to go, dog. That fucking video you on the surfboard, you look like a fucking idiot, dude. You delete that. Don't put that up. Don't fucking your metaverse is stupid as shit, bro. Like, and so they're there to kind of ground you. Imagine if fucking Bill Gates had somebody with him all the time. Like, so like when Mark Rober asks him how much he thinks a hamburger is, and he says, I don't know, $18.
Or somebody to look at Elon and go, don't tweet that.
No,
Don't
no.
do that.
Stop tweeting.
Yeah,
Stop.
just put
They're
the
just always there, and they go, "No, you delete Twitter. You're the one person that needs to delete Twitter. All you're doing is hurting Twitter."
It's a great idea, and honestly, that's what we need. We need people to tell these people like,
But they
you
won't
cannot do that.
listen. They won't. The craziest part is they won't listen to just a random person in their everyday life, but they will
No,
listen to a service that they paid for.
right.
That's one of their favorite things is paying for stuff that's exclusive to them. So it's exclusive to billionaires. They're gonna fucking love that. They're gonna eat it up.
And
They're
it
gonna
just
go, oh, this is only for billionaires? Yeah, and I have to verify it. Can I see your bank account? All right, the numbers look good. Yeah, you were in.
yeah.
How many billionaire buddies would you like? We recommend one, but if you'd like more, well, how many does Jeff Bezos have? He has one billionaire buddy. I can see Elon being like, well, I need two billionaire buddies.
I
There's
have
two
heard
people in the room that go, what the fuck is wrong with you, Elon? And they're just clowning on
I have heard some absolutely horrible things about Elon Musk, and
you.
that he
Yeah.
is incredibly misogynistic, and
Oh, he's wild.
he's
Have
just
you heard some of the like I don't know what they're called, but when you go live on Twitter and you do the little like round table and
no.
everyone can tune in and listen, have you heard some of the recordings of him in those? Like,
I've not listened to those, but just when he was on like the Joe Rogan podcast and listening to him just giving ideas, and Joe was just sitting there because I mean Joe plays his part really well. He's really a smart person. He's out
Joe
there.
is
Yeah,
Joe is the absolute best to be in that position to just give
yeah,
everyone a platform and listen to what they're saying
yeah.
and let
And no
them go
matter
wild.
how outlandish it is, but I mean even Joe Rogan was sitting there just like, is this motherfucker really saying this? Like really? And it just the
Well,
stuff that
and like the shit he said on Joe Rogan too, where Elon was like, "Yeah, we need to parking and driving and everything needs to go underground. We need to go down." And Joe's like, "Huh."
well, let's see. So I watched a TikTok earlier. It might have been today, it might have been yesterday. That was talking about how absolutely fall into chaos Twitter is in right now. It's just utter chaos in the Twitter inner workings at the actual business section of
Well,
Twitter.
yeah. Well, you don't use Twitter as much. Did you see what happened the other day?
No, I don't.
There,
I passively use Twitter.
so there's so many rumors going around. I don't even know what's true anymore. But basically, the other day, the entire website went down, and then when it came back up, uh, there was a rate limit on everybody's account. You could
yeah,
only view 600 tweets a day,
yeah. Unless you were a blue check,
and
and then you could view like five
yeah,
thousand or 10,000. Yeah,
yeah,
something big. Yeah,
couple thousand.
yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, and then like and he started like quoting all these terms and texts and stuff, and then he got called out by all these people that actually know what they're talking about, and they're like, no, that's not how it works at all. And then somebody smart actually said what happened is their bill came due from Google because they have a bunch of their shit on Google servers, and that's literally the almost to the day lined up with when that bill was due and the site went down.
Well,
And they
this
claimed, no, that wasn't it. We paid our bills. And Elon even shared several tweets of like showing, no, look, see, we paid our bills.
Jesus Christ. Well, this guy on TikTok, he said that number one, Twitter's a fucking shit show right
Hmm.
now, and he said that here just recently there was this guy that tweeted at Elon. It was like, "Hey, do I still have a job at Twitter?"
Yeah, I know
Like,
that guy. I
yeah,
know. I don't know him, but I've followed him for a while. He's
yeah,
a cool guy. I know who you're talking about. But go
and
ahead.
but you know, there what he went on to talk about was in the early 2000s when Circuit City was going out of business. There was a bunch of people online realized that they weren't getting good jobs, they didn't have a lot of work experience, so they really couldn't get anywhere in life because they didn't have the experience that the corporate wants you to have. So what they all did is they all got together and put their resumes together and said that they were managers at Circuit City. They were
Yeah.
project managers. They were product
Yeah.
procurement managers. They're all these just random job
Yeah.
titles.
Sales floor
Yeah,
manager, all this shit. Because
because there's no way to verify it. There's no way
No.
whatsoever to verify it because the company is gone. But what he was saying here in reference to this guy at Twitter is, Twitter has no human resource department. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to tweet Elon Musk if I have a job or not. It means that no one at Twitter knows anyone at Twitter, essentially.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is if you've been laid off because of COVID or all these tech layoffs and you're trying to get into another field or get into a job, just put that you worked at Twitter.
Yeah.
They can't verify it. Yeah, there is no
No.
phone number to call Twitter's human resources to say, hey, I'm checking on Oreo and his, it says that he was a IT director at Twitter. Can you verify that? Not
I've actually been really tempted to do that. I saw that video too.
Do it.
And
do it.
I've been really tempted to. There's two problems with that, Kay. Like realistically, if you actually do it, there's two problems. Yeah, nobody can verify it, but number one, the timeline you have to figure out. It might actually be better if you push it back and say, yeah, you were at Twitter before all this shit happened,
Right.
and you got laid off during that layoffs.
Right.
Because you could probably also say you work there now. Elon wouldn't know. The people that work there wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you say you work there now, it's kind of a shit show, and it's also it actually
be against you. Be like, yeah,
it actually be a bad thing if you work there now.
Yeah. I was from 2019 to 2021, I worked at Twitter. I was
I thought about putting it in for like 6 months right before the whole Elon thing happened. I got, and put in there, laid off in the second rounds of layoffs or some shit. I've thought about it because then nobody checks, and even if they were gonna check, they can't check at Twitter.
Yeah. I would be shocked if you had people that were actually checking references anymore. Like I just and what gets me is like you can put anything you want on those references. How many times have you lied on your references? Be like, oh, you need to put down somebody that knows your work ethic. You put your best friend on there.
Yeah, you put your buddy, and you go, yeah, he was my manager. He wasn't your fucking manager. He's a kid you've known since high school.
Rabble says Twitter's email that reporter's email for comment just auto replies the poop emoji. So I assume human resources does as well.
Probably. I
It
don't know.
probably does.
I've really thought about it because it's a good end to be like
Yeah.
for the industry I'm trying to get into.
Yeah.
I've been tempted to do it, and then if I get a call back, be like, I didn't really work at Twitter.
Oh no, I would go all the way to the end. Go all the way to the end. You
maybe
did data analytics for Twitter. Like you
Yeah.
were just doing nothing but metadata. You don't know what you were looking at. You had no understanding of where the data was. It was literally just numbers on a screen, and it was I was processing the order in which the numbers were coming in. That's I had this little
I
little
was looking at
spreadsheet.
rate limits.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. I was looking at rate limits and bandwidth for mobile
Yeah.
users for Twitter.
I remember Elon came to me and the week before I got laid off and asked me if he thought 600 was a good number, and I told him he's an idiot.
And here I am.
And here I am now. I've really thought about doing it,
Fuck
and
it.
like
I mean, you think about all the things that the
the
corporations,
hardest,
the corporations
yeah, they
lie to
lie-
their employees
they
all
lie
the
all
time.
the time.
Fuck 'em.
So you're not on tech Twitter, so you don't know this, but there's a huge fucking controversy going on right now because there's a tech guy that went on Twitter and put up a listing that's from Netflix that said, look, they're paying $900,000 for this role. $900,000 a year, okay? But when you actually click on the link and go to apply, it's the wildest fucking salary range I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of people that actually work at Netflix and a lot of the tech people, on Twitter, they've been lining this guy up. When you click on it and go through to it, it's 80,000 to 900,000. It's literally their entire range of who they have working at Netflix. There's only like 2 or 3 people at Netflix that make that 900,000, other than minus the board of directors and CEOs and shit. Like that's not a range that anybody's gonna hit.
Right. The
And
real range is the 80 to 110.
yeah, you're going to be making close to that 80. And like a bunch of people lit this guy up and said, this is what's wrong with all these tech gurus and YouTubers that say you can make $900,000 at Netflix in 2 months if you take my course. And like everyone lit him the fuck up. And there's this huge thing. It's actually been a joke going on for like a month now. Everyone talks about new roles that are $900,000 a year.
Well, it's the
But
same thing.
like,
It's the same thing in my field, or in not necessarily my direct field, but I think you and I have talked about this website before. There's a government procurement website called sam.gov, and it is nothing but a
maybe?
web. It's a database that our federal government has set up where they put out purchase orders or bid orders for everything in the government. We're talking for supplying reams of paper to Hummers,
Oh,
you know,
okay. For a
every
second, I was thinking, are you talking about the one that War Dogs? The whole
yeah, actually no, it is. It's the same website that well, it's what this that website is now. Thanks to War Dogs, that site is a little bit different, but it's still kind of all the same website now. It's
yeah.
just
So it's like
there's a lot more
bidding on
oversight.
government contracts or
Bidding on
something.
government contracts. I do it all the time on things like the
What are
last
you
one I
bidding on?
well the last one I bid on was a residential complex and a naval base in Virginia, and what it was is smoke detectors.
Oh,
They wanted a bid on smoke detectors for for their I guess the barracks or or like the houses and stuff that they rent out to troops on base, whatever, doesn't matter. It was a bid for like 700 smoke detectors. So I didn't get it because what ends up happening is I will call up my supplier and say, hey, I need a price on 700 smoke detectors, and they're like, oh, okay. And then I know I can't prove it, but I know without a doubt that same dude goes, where does he need 700 smoke detectors? And then he'll go to that same website and go, oh, look, there's a contract that they want 700 smoke detectors. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and put that in for myself, because why would I want to sell him 700 smoke detectors when I can just sell straight to the federal government and get my money that much quicker? So anyway, that's a whole different rant.
yeah.
But that's
Bit data services. What is all this? I don't know. I'll have to look at it.
but anyway, you can anyone. But where I was going with this was there's because every all of your social medias and everything's connected together. I get random TikTok videos from this one dude that's like, "Oh, you want to make all this money from home passively on the internet? Here, let me show you how to get set up on the government website sam.com." And he offers a thing where you pay him $1,000 and he will sign you up and get you registered and do all the legwork for you, and he makes it to be this huge deal where it's like, oh, I will get you all set up and you can start making money in 24 hours and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, he's one of those gurus.
Yeah, but if you go to the
They're
website,
they're everywhere.
if you go to the
Yeah,
web,
you just sign up
yeah,
for
you just
free,
sign
can't
up.
you?
Yeah, you sign
Yeah.
up for free. You got to have a tax ID number. You've got to have what's called a cage number, which is given to you from the from the federal government, which is the Department of Defense number,
Yeah.
and you
Well,
just it's just some paperwork.
he's like one of those online lawyers. They're gonna
Yes.
throw lots of technical jargon at you,
Yep.
make it sound scary and complicated, and it's literally so
But
I fucking hate guru.
but
Man,
it's so
I
hard. It's so hard to get into an industry like that
yeah
because just like I said, I'm a middleman. I'm the one that's going to go out here and do the legwork and find the contract and contact the supplier and set everything up and set the delivery and do all the legwork. Where then this, the actual manufacturer can just go, well, I can undercut. I'm going to sell him these smoke detectors for $7, and he's going to turn around. I mean, he has to mark them up because where's he going to make his money if he's not? He's just not going to sell them at cost. So he's going to
yeah
mark them up to $8, $9, $10, and make a few dollars off the smoke detectors. So his bid is probably going to be $8.50, $9 a smoke detector. When I can, I the manufacturer can just go and submit the same bid and be like, well, I can do it for 7, and I can
no
drop
it's
ship them, and the shipping will be free because I own the logistics to the delivery service.
yeah
You know,
it's
it's
crazy how much
impossible to get into shit like that. It's impossible.
that kind of stuff happens like all in every industry, everywhere, all over the place.
Hmm. Well,
Just
yeah. Um, there was another one that I saw. One of the first things I saw, there was a contract. I don't remember, I don't know where it was going to, but the whole bid contract was they were looking for like 10 or 15 four-wheel drive SUVs. That's what the contract was. They were wanting to buy 10 four-wheel drive SUVs. So so in theory, you would think, okay, all right, well, I'm going to contact Ford or Land Rover or whomever, and get a price on what it would cost me to buy these 10 SUVs, and and sell it to them directly. I went back like 2 or 3 weeks later, and they would put like it's public record. Like whenever these contracts are awarded, that all
yeah.
that information is public information. You know exactly who got the bid, and they have to put how much it
Yeah.
was, everything. Yeah,
Well, it's been like that
it went
with
to
every government thing since
right,
like Nixon
but it went to Ford. Ford Motor Company
Yeah.
got the contract. Like,
for 15 of them.
yeah. So there is no, yeah, just like Rabble said, you cut out the middleman. There's no middleman in that, and Ford said, oh yeah, I can get you 15 SUVs, no problem. You want Escapes? You want Explorers? Which one you want?
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, they probably have people scanning those fucking
they
things all
do.
day long, and
Yeah, they do. And
half those contracts were probably already filled before they even put them up.
and that's also a problem too. Um, by law, they have to receive 3 bids.
Yeah, but
Um,
they already know where they're going
right.
with. They're just putting it up to
Yeah.
cover the law.
Yeah, I've even had, like, well, for example, the other university that's here in town, I won't name it, but their fire extinguisher contract is coming up at the beginning of next year, and they had to put it out on bid. And I got a call from the safety director, and was like, hey, you know, you're local, we want you to put a bid on this. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So I put a bid package together, and I go and I meet with the guy, and we take a tour of the university, and he showed me, like, okay, we got these fire systems to do, these kitchen systems. There's some flammable storage lockers at maintenance that we'd have fire systems on, whatever. And so we're going through all of this, and he tells me, like, right out of the gate, yeah, we've been using X Corporation for 15 years, but
Yeah.
the contract is up, so we have to put it out on bid. And I'm like,
He basically told you you're not gonna get it,
yeah.
but
Oh, yeah. Straight up. That's what he said. Yeah. It was just literally. It was an opportunity for him to get out of his office and do nothing for about 2.5, 3 hours that day. Was just to
hmm
give me a tour of campus and show me everything, because he had nothing else to do.
yeah, so unaware of him just wasting your
Yeah,
time.
totally. Like, I mean, I've done all the legwork. I sat down and crunched all the numbers, and I was like, okay. I even looked at it going, this is so much work. It would take I mean, the what it was going to cost to do all this work, and the money that we could make off of it, I would have to I'd have to hire another employee just to do that job, because it would be a full-time 40 hours a week, 5
Yeah.
days 5 days a week job. Did I get paid for that tour? No.
No. No.
I mean, my company paid me my time, but I couldn't bill the university.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, yeah,
So
you don't get that luxury.
yeah, America sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So Canada's doing this cool thing. Uh, I gotta look it up exactly because I saw TikTok. I know we get a lot of our information from TikTok. Unfortunately, that's how it works. News and social media sites can't be trusted, other than
Well,
as
that's
long as you have your algorithm working well for you.
that's one of the things that I like about both Twitter and TikTok, is you get information straight from the ground. You don't
Yeah,
get a lot of reaction to it. You don't get a lot of the analysis. But, like, okay, somebody dropped there was a missile strike in Kiev 15 minutes ago. Okay, there's no other information than that. This is what just happened. Here's the news. All right, and then 10, 15 minutes from now, you'll see something on CNN that's like, oh, there was an airstrike in Kiev. This is and another blatant attack by the Russians, and now you have all this opinion information thrown in on it, and this, that, and the other. But that's the reason why I like TikTok is it's straight from the horse's mouth. Not only do you get the information, you probably got some that it probably came from somebody that had a fucking cell phone out and just happened to catch the explosion.
Yeah.
You know, but I love TikTok for that. I like Twitter for that too.
Yeah, Twitter is going to go down, but I
Mm.
don't think Twitter's going anywhere. But that's a discussion we'll have on another podcast. We need
I
to
don't
do
think.
our creams of the week soon.
Yeah, we gotta do that in a minute. I don't think
No,
Twitter.
I
I
don't think it's going anywhere. Threads is great, and they've had already like almost 100 million people sign up.
I haven't checked it
There's a
out
few
yet.
there's a few problems with Threads that it'll never be able to beat Twitter on, even before Elon got to Twitter. But no,
Well, the
Canada
infrastructure's already there.
launches. Yeah, Canada just launched a thing literally 3 days ago. They have a new visa for remote workers. So basically, Canada will allow you to move to and live in Canada and remote work anywhere else. Like I could move there and do remote work from a company in America, but in Canada, and they'll count that as a working visa.
Wow.
So I can go live in Canada and have a working visa, but do remote work for whatever, fucking India, China.
I
I could
wonder how
remote to
that's.
America.
I wonder how that's taxed. Because I know.
Uh,
I know in the
probably
I know in the United
regular.
States. Yeah. Well, I know in the United States, if you do work in another country, and like a country that has some form of income tax, and you get paid there, that country gets their cut of the taxes, and
Yeah,
then the same thing
I
and
assume
then the same thing
they.
happens in the United States. They also get a cut, so you basically get double taxed. Same thing
It's
happens
probably
in the
still the
states too.
same.
I wonder how.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how Canada treats it, because that would be
So
an excellent
I
way
know.
of
Well,
uh,
they're trying to attract a bunch of. They're trying to attract useful like tech people because it's kind of aimed at. A lot of remote jobs are tech industry.
yeah, it makes sense.
And so what their thing right now is you can just get a visitor visa and then move there and you can stay for up to 6 months under this new digital nomad rule. And what they're trying to do is attract you to, and the way it was worded, I'm pretty sure it is double tax. They tax you and the country, you're working for taxes you because they're trying to attract new residents that actually decide to just work in, Canadian corporations.
I wonder there would have to be some more incentive, because that would be the hard part. Is all right. I know Canadian taxes are pretty high as well. Granted, they get what they pay for, unlike the United States. So you're basically getting double
Uh,
taxed. So you're losing it probably at least half your income. So like, where's my incentive to move to Canada? I mean, it makes sense for the Canadians to be like, okay, we'll get you here, and then you realize, fuck, I'm paying double tax for working for Twitter in the U.S. Let me go
mm,
work for the Canadian broadcast company doing IT, and now I'm only taxed once. So like, I get
It
that.
looks like
Like,
they
where's
they're
my
changing a bunch
incentive?
of. it- Well, that's I guess if you just want to leave America,
Well, I mean that's a good enough, I guess.
they've changed a bunch of stuff around it too with this new rule. They've reduced their permit processing times to just 2 weeks. It used to take longer. There's a new dedicated pathway to permanent residence for
Now,
employers or employees that are in STEM fields. So specifically, science, technology, you know, education, STEM. Where's that
science,
other thing that way?
technology,
Oh, here's their other thing. They
something in
also
mathematics. What the E stands for?
increased their quota of visa slots too, 3.5 times. They're taking 3.5 times more visas than they were previously. So they're changing and they're just trying to get people to move there, I guess.
Well, if they are making the path to citizenship easier for these types of people, like say for example, like I don't know if Canada does it, but I know in the U.S. you have to pay a pretty big fee to be able to apply to become a U.S. citizen. If I'm assuming Canada probably does the same thing. If this program say waives that fee, or he says, okay, it might take you 3 years to get your citizenship in Canada the normal way. If you move under this visa, we'll help you get your citizenship in a year. Then like, okay, that's incentive.
Wait, whoa. They also the Minister of Canada also announced a plan to grant open work permits to individuals that are already in the queue, enabling them and their families to remain in Canada for up to 3 years while their requests are being processed.
That makes.
So what does that mean? You can start doing it now, and if you officially haven't been accepted to the program.
Well, I know in the United States you have to live here for so long before you can even apply to be a citizen. Like I don't know what that number is, like how many years or whatever it is, but you have
Oh,
to.
maybe that's part of
Yeah,
that where they're
they
saying you can stay for years until you're
yeah.
able to get citizenship.
Yeah, whereas the
He
normal
said,
visa says 6 months, this is a visa that'll last. If it takes 3 years to get your citizenship, your visa's good for 3 years.
"What's an H-1B visa?"
That's the working. That's the a working visa for the United States.
Oh,
H1Bs are given to um, well, that's basically the H1B is their work permit.
oh,
If you come from out of the country to come into the United States to work, it's real common. H1Bs are given to uh, I had a friend. I haven't seen him in years. He was here in the U.S. on an H1B. He was working on getting his medical license. He was working on becoming a doctor.
well, this according to Canada, there's about 400,000 people in the United States in the United States on H-1B visas, and with this new thing, this will also allow for about 10,000 H-1B visa holders from the United States to start working in Canada.
So in other words,
So
if you're from
so
India,
if you yeah, if you already have an H-1B in US, they'll also let you transfer and start working in Canada.
yeah, because the
I'm
United
sure
States has already done all the legwork in vetting you as an individual.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still some paperwork and whatnot, but basically, yeah, it looks like you can just transfer that work visa and just go to Canada if you're tired of America.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of problems with the H1Bs. Well, it was during COVID, that was a big thing because those visas they're only good for a certain amount of time, and there was a lot of confusion, and I don't know whatever how it all played out, but for people that because just like any of the other visas, you can only be in the United States for so long, and then you have to go home, you have to leave the country. Well,
Yeah,
these
or be
visas.
a citizen. You can't just stay forever. Yeah.
Right. These visas were expiring, and people were in the United States, and there was all the travel restrictions, and there was no traveling out of the country, and you couldn't get into places like China or India, and there was a lot of people like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, if you fuck up with these H-1B visas, if you fuck up and break a rule and overstaying your visa is like the number one cardinal sin, you can have your visa revoked and never be able to work in the country again. So these people are like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
The government was shut down. There was nobody there was no literally nobody in the government to answer that question. They were all at home, locked down. There was no working from home yet. And these people are like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know if they just waived it
Mm.
and been like, yeah,
They
we
probably
get it.
shot him.
It
They
could
took him
be
out back of a
because
Walmart and
there's it could literally be one or the other because it could be like, oh, they just waived it because there's nothing you could do, so it is what it is. Or on the other side, it would totally be like, yeah, they just fucked you, and
yeah,
they're our
it's
immigrant.
America. What do you think they did?
Yeah, they're like, we don't like immigrants. It's like, have you been following what's going on in Florida? And how
No.
so
As soon as I see the word Florida, I kind of tune out.
I think things are like legit bad in Florida. Um, Ron DeSantis, the governor, who's now running for president, signed a
Yeah.
bunch of like anti-immigration, anti-immigrant laws that makes us
Oh,
like
is that where none of them are working anymore?
they've all left. Like
Yeah.
they've all packed up and left the state because they don't want to get caught because it's really
He,
bad if you get
he,
caught.
he's a
And
fucking idiot. He probably rides a Harley, is all I'm saying.
and not only that, but there's also like truckers that deliver to and from Florida that
Yeah,
are
they stopped going
they're just like,
into
I'm not
Florida.
going. So like I've watched a bunch of TikToks where
I have seen some of that on TikTok.
where I saw a TikTok yesterday, I think it was, where this guy was walking through this residential development that's being built, and like all of the houses are like half finished. They don't. There's no windows. There's no doors. They barely have uh, um, the plyboard up for their roofing. Like there's nothing, and he's
Yeah, and
like
there's no hammering going on.
nothing. But then the work.
Jose and Juan left. Nothing's getting done.
So not only is nothing getting done, it's these are wood houses. These are just basic wood houses,
Well, you
and
can't have that in Florida.
you can't have it in Florida because of the heat and the rain and the humidity and all that. So
Yeah, there's a reason you need the immigrant workers to get it done in a fucking week.
yeah, so you don't ruin the wood. And he was walking through this one unfinished house, and he was like showing all the places in the house that were the wood was already rotting. You know the studs and stuff that's already rotting because there's no um
Yeah,
there's
fucking
no one putting it together. And then on top of it, all of the drywall, sheetrock, all that stuff that's been delivered, that's supposed to have been put in the house, has just been laying there. It just showed up, got dropped off, and
yeah,
that was
you
it.
can't let that stuff get all wet
No,
and
once
shit.
it's wet, it's ruined. So, and I
Yeah,
mean, it's everywhere in the
yeah.
state, and it's
Ron DeSantis is a fucking idiot. I hope he crashes his Harley on the highway.
he's going to crash and burn. There's that party, the Republican Party, is going to tear itself apart. This
Yeah,
we're
starting from Florida and
start
working
well,
their way
yeah,
over.
it's starting in Florida because Ron thinks he's like the better alternative to Trump when I'm way more concerned about Ron DeSantis than I've ever been concerned about Donald Trump. But
Donald doesn't do anything. He just he's like when you're trying to feed the ducks bread, and there's that one super loud, aggressive one that acts like he's gonna do something. That's fucking Donald Trump.
well, and that
Super loud, acts aggressive. He ain't gonna do nothing.
and that's the problem with Donald with Ron DeSantis. He's the goose that's like hiding in
Yeah, that
amongst
chases you.
yeah, that's waiting for you to turn around so he can chase you because he's going to take your shit.
Yeah,
Um,
and then he bites you, and then he doesn't get his bread, and then he's mad
yeah, but yeah,
because he's an idiot. But
yeah, it's that party is going to rip itself apart starting with the primaries, and I'm
I can't wait
fucking
to
here
watch it
for
on
it.
TikTok.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great, great.
But anyways, I'm announcing that I used to work at Twitter, and I'm gonna start my remote work in Canada soon.
Love it. Sounds great.
I got to talk to Bunge and see about some things.
So, what's your cream of the week? Let's get to it because
Oh
we've been
man,
going almost 2.5 hours.
yeah, we'll get to it. So mine is gonna be I just started it, and you know, I've had it going on one screen while I'm working on my other screen while I made Flappy Pig and other things. It's on Hulu. I'm sure you see it advertised everywhere. It's been advertised all over fucking TikTok. And I saw a TikTok that I was like, all right, fine, I'll fucking watch it. It's The Bear.
The
Uh,
bear.
yeah, it's called The Bear. Yes, chef. And it's basically it's the guy from Shameless, Jeremy Allen White.
Okay.
He plays the older brother in Shameless. If you've ever seen Shameless,
Mm-hmm.
you'd recognize him if you've seen him. If you haven't seen the advertisements for the bear everywhere, it's Hulu's like new original thing. They're advertising the fuck out of it. Like,
I haven't watched Hulu lately.
oh, it's only I think the second season just came out. Like literally, June 22nd. Yeah, second season just came out. It's good. It depends on. It's different. The entire show is basically in this in this uh beef sandwich shop in Chicago. It's got Maddie Matheson, if you know who that is. He's the super fat dude that does cooking stuff on YouTube occasionally. He has
Yes.
tattoos everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking everywhere. Yeah, Maddie Matheson's in it. I guess he's a producer and a writer for the show. So it's probably a lot of his idea. Yeah, it's about a chef who he was at like a 3-star fucking fancy French restaurant, like one of the best restaurants in the world. And they haven't talked about what happens in the show, but basically for some reason he doesn't work there anymore, but he came back to Chicago because his brother killed himself and his brother owned this restaurant. And so he starts like, all right, I'm going to work in the restaurant now. My brother never let me work here when he was alive, and he left it to him in his will. And so it's him trying to figure out how to make this fucking restaurant work and try to make it actually good. Like take his skills, that he's learned in culinary school and at this French restaurant and all this shit, you know, try to be this 5-star chef at a fucking deli shop in fucking Chicago. Uh, so it's pretty good. There's a ton of I'm apparently on the Bear TikToks. There's a ton of people doing the joke of yes chef. Like I've heard that's like the perfect response to someone insulting you. You just yes chef. Like 'cause it works too for like you seen Gordon Ramsay just absolutely fucking berate people and just fucking they're like yes chef.
You know what I like watching more than his like just ripping people new ones on his shows.
What's that?
I love watching him do the kids shows because it's
I
like
haven't seen. I haven't really seen any of
it
them.
is he is like he turns into Bob Ross when
Or
it
is
with the
this
kids.
the opposite?
He is so chill. He's so calm. He's very supportive. He's very encouraging. He really you can tell. Yes, he berates people because he cares about his craft, but
Yeah.
but when it comes to the kids, he realizes that they're the next generation of the craft, and he is
He doesn't want them to hate the craft. He
right.
wants them to, yeah.
He doesn't. They're not broken yet. They're still. They still think it's fun, but no, it is. Anytime you see that's like the junior chef or junior masters, or I think a junior master chef, I think is what it's called.
Hmm.
Um, Watching him with the kids, it's if you watch it with your eyes closed, you're like that's not the same guy. That's not him.
Yeah.
You
It
know.
doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah, it's just he's so calm and But I really I like Gordon Ramsay. I've
My favorite thing of him is that thing he did with that other guy who I don't know who his name is. The guy that they were cooking like burgers and he kept opening to look at it and Gordon came over and like slammed it and I was like, you can't open it. How many fucking times I tell you? And the other guy makes fun of him to like the third person that was with him. He's like, how many times I fucking tell you don't do and he's like making fun of him. He's like a billionaire buddy because again, like nobody fucking says no to Gordon Ramsay.
yeah.
You just say yes, chef. And this guy is like, no, he does not put up with Gordon's shit. Like, and I've seen several clips. I wish I knew his name. Uh, he seems like he's French or Italian or something. He's got a pretty heavy accent, but every clip I've seen with him and Gordon, he's just fucking like giving it right back to him. He does not just take it. Like,
But no, yeah,
but yeah,
highly recommend that.
if you're into chefs and shit,
I'll have to
it's the
watch it.
Bear.
I'll have to watch it.
It's pretty good.
Because
It's
Heather is into like the Great British Baking Show and stuff like that, so you will probably end up watching it.
She might like it. Matty Matheson's in literally every fucking episode. So if you like him, like he's funny. He plays like the fix it guy. Like he's their friend. He doesn't work at the restaurant, but like anytime fucking something goes wrong, they call him. And his name's Neil Fack, but they always call him Fack. Like the toilet fucking breaks, and they call Fack. We need you right now. Fucking toilet break. But yeah, it's just a Bodunk restaurant of their brother that committed suicide, and they're trying to make it fucking work, and it's pretty good.
Hmm. Okay.
You'll probably say yes, chef, a few times after you've watched it because they say it so fucking much in the show. Like yes, chef, corner, like behind. Yeah, it's got the whole. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter even talking it up that work in restaurants because there's like a scene where he's taking a break out back and he's like drinking water out of like one of their measuring cups or something, and I
That's
guess
relatable.
a bunch of people online are like relatable. I've done that exact
I've
thing
done
out
it.
of that exact container.
Yeah,
Like,
I've
yeah,
I worked in a restaurant for a while as a bartender, and yeah, no, you do shit like that
yeah.
because you just what you got to
So
work with.
yeah,
Um,
you got it what you want. So I mean, they got Maddie on the show. He's a fucking chef. Like, so it's pretty good. I would say watch it. I am glad that I started it now that the second season's out, because it starts getting pretty good in the second season. And there's things that happen that like things start rolling and going in the second season. So it's good though. But yeah, The Bear. So it's on Hulu. That's the only place you can watch it. It's their special exclusive. It's their thing that they're pushing right now. So like I'm sure if you log into Hulu, you'll see it.
all right. Well, for me, I don't think we've I don't think we've done a show since I started playing it. But I've been playing Diablo.
Diablo.
Diablo. I like calling it Diablo. Um,
Diablo 4?
Diablo 4. Um, I had never played any of the other ones leading up to it.
I was just gonna say that. I literally know nothing. I've never played a single one.
I
I've never watched footage
I
unless it was by
didn't.
accident.
I thought, doing full disclosure, I never played it because I thought it was a Doom or a Wolfenstein ripoff.
Oh,
I had nothing. I had nothing to
I thought it
support
was
that.
like I thought it was like StarCraft, but in hell.
Yeah, I would say it's basically World of Warcraft in hell.
Oh,
It's
well,
what it
something like
is.
that.
Yeah, it's a MMORPG, that type of thing. Um, I didn't realize that. I feel like a bad gamer that I didn't know. Like I just assumed it was something, and I was just completely wrong. But Smokey got me into playing it, and we've been no lifing it together. He's been no lifing it a whole lot harder than I have. Um, but no, I started playing. I'm you have different classes you can play. Yeah, I do. I play like Warcraft with all my army of skeletons. Yeah, I play a necromancer, and the whole gimmick is raising as many minions as possible and making them do all the work. Um, but I've really been. It's actually been a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Um, it's got the
It's not free, is it? Isn't
no,
it?
no, it's
It's a
not.
full price
It's full
game.
price. Yeah, it's full price. I think it's $60.
Action role playing hack and slash.
That's
That's what.
exactly what it is. It is just a hack and slash. Hey, there he is. There's Smokey. There's Mr. Moki's or Mrs. Moki's Pizza. Um,
Yeah, fucking
yeah, I'm just I'm
shows up like Lurch. Durang.
but honestly, I'm no different than Smokey here. All I care about is the horse mounts. You can get horses that you can ride to make traveling across the map quicker, and you get different ones that different colored horses and whatnot. And right now I have one he's a ghost. He's see through spectral. Like that's
Well,
my
how do you ride him if he's a ghost?
on a saddle with
How
your
does the
eyes,
saddle
Bert.
sit on him?
Um, but no, I've actually been really enjoying it. It's
What's like the point to it? Like you just hack and slash?
what
You
you've
just kill shit?
yeah, you level up. You play through there's a campaign that you play through that's the beginning of it, and it's actually a really good story. You're dealing with the daughter of one of the greater demons in uh let's see, I guess that would be, is it Greek? I think it's the Greek literature. She's the daughter of Asmodai. I believe I think that's who she is, the daughter of Asmodai. But her name is Lilith, and she's this demon that is wanting to basically control the world, take over the world, which is it's not Earth, but it's set in its own little realm. Um,
Huh.
but it's all based on you know
It's top down, right?
yeah, it's top down. Um,
Not like straight top down,
no, it's
like
that
StarCraft, like from
yeah,
the
at an angle.
isometric, whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Um, but the story is really really good. I really enjoyed the story. If this story is as good as the other Diablos, I want to go back and play them just to get the story. But once you complete the campaign, then it becomes the grindy level resource grabbing type game where you do the same dungeons over and over and over again to get the better loot, to raise your level, to make yourself stronger, to do the more harder raids, to get more stuff to keep and that's all it is. It's no different than, like I said, I never played StarCraft, but I mean it's World of Warcraft as far as I'm concerned. And what I do like about it thus far, and there may be more to it that I haven't leveled up to get to, but they have encounters, they're dungeons, and they're just really long. Well, they're not as long as World of Warcraft, but they're like raids. Um, there's not even a whole lot of mechanics to it. It might be go kill these people, grab this item, and unlock this door to move on to the next area. But the mechanics are pretty simple. Um, but it very much is hack and slash, or if you have a sorcerer casting spells, or Smokey plays a druid and he transforms into a werewolf and fucks things up, and you plays a barbarian or a rogue. Um, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't require a lot of thinking, because I guess it kind of does when you're focused on like trying to come up with the most powerful ways to make the ways to make your character more powerful, upgrading abilities and things such as that. But it's
Hmm.
just good pastime. I really enjoy it. It has been a good break from me playing World of Warships.
Yeah. Huh. It's see, I finally found a game like that. I didn't want to use it for my cream of the week though, because I've already used it. But I found a game like that. I feel like that's what we've been looking for. Something that's just like chill, casual. You can just get on, play it,
Yeah,
and then get off, and like it's just a good time.
yeah, and that's the way this one's been. Is I'll jump on with Smokey and we'll play for a couple hours and we'll do some raids or do some dungeons as they're called and right now he's like 10 or 15 levels higher than I am. So, he's pulling me through the high end dungeons that I'm fucking useless in. Just to kind of get the gear so I can kind of catch up to him. Um,
Well, you get good.
I'm trying. Um, but yeah, it's pretty chill. It doesn't. Sometimes it gets kind of. I mean, it is very grindy. It is very repetitive. Um, but it doesn't get sweaty.
Yeah. Well,
You,
if it's like World of Warcraft, that makes sense.
yeah, there's no real sweat to it. It's just you're after you guys you're loot goblins, which I like games like that. Like I'm just gonna go get all the loot and Rabble said, I'm gonna
Mine,
min max
mine.
all the things. So I recommend it. It's fun. I've had a lot of fun playing it, and um, I will probably I will probably stream it tomorrow on the channel. Um, I'm gonna probably do Diablo on Mondays, and then Worship Wednesdays is coming back. So
Ooh.
because
I,
uh, we were doing we were playing D&D. Well, I was playing D&D 3 nights a week, and our Wednesday game has kind of fallen by the wayside.
yeah,
And
might stream instead. Well,
yeah,
you were streaming anyways, so
I'm gonna go back to streaming games again. I might do Diablo on Mondays. I downloaded Roller Coaster Tycoon, the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. I keep seeing it on people playing it on TikTok, and I'm like, you know what? That would be like a really chill game to stream, because it's
yeah.
it's not much to it. So
No,
I'm thinking that might be the I might do that on Mondays or do Diablo or
Monday mayhem, Monday
Tycoon,
management,
Tycoon
Tuesday
Tuesdays.
tycoon. No, something.
Yeah, if I wasn't gaming
It,
on
it,
Tuesdays, I would do D
if
and
it,
D. Be
it
perfect.
it has to be alliteration. You can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we had Tie Tuesdays, and then we finished all the Star Wars stuff, and I would go back to doing more of the Dark Forces Star Wars games, but I swear to God, that guy that had a Discord mod set up to find anybody that's streaming Dark Forces just completely creeped me out of doing any more Dark Forces games.
Hmm,
Did I tell you about that?
no.
When I was streaming the Dark Forces Star Wars game, it was a game from the 90s. Um, I was like, oh, I like doing these retro Star Wars games. I've already done all the TIE fighters and X Wing games. Let's do the shooters because there are some iconic shooters from that time period. Um, you're welcome to anytime if we ever see him again, Rabble, you're more than welcome to troll him. But so I started streaming it, and
He just show up
yeah,
instantly or
he just, I
something.
mean, yeah, he showed up within 10, 15 minutes of me starting the stream the first time. And he's like, well, you need to go here. You're doing this wrong. And he kept pushing me to, well, you need to download this texture pack. It changes all the graphics to 4K. I'm like,
Okay.
I was like, well, I don't have 4K, and I'm streaming a retro game. I'm streaming it as it was, and he was just really adamant. And there was a couple of places that I was legitimately stuck on. Like I couldn't figure out where I needed to go. I was stuck. He's like, "Do you want a hint? I'll give you a hint. You want to know where you need to go?" And I'm like, "I don't need a backseat gamer. Like just leave me alone." Yeah, have you installed the Force engine? I think it's what he said, and it was just nonstop. And it was like my second or third time streaming the game, and I was like, man, I really appreciate you showing up and hanging out and being a part of it. And he goes, yeah, I've got a Discord mod set up that alerts me anytime somebody's streaming Dark Forces on Twitch because
Okay.
he was pushing that Force engine thing. Um, he wanted me to download it. You got to download it. You got to download it. And I finally was like, are you affiliated with them? Like you're pushing this awfully hard. I created it, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Makes
bro,
sense.
yeah. And it was just so weird. And that's honestly, Rebel. That's the reason why I've not done anything else with that game. It's like I was so creeped out by somebody that was, you know, that forceful trying to get me to do something in a game. I was like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's not how you advertise that.
Yeah,
Doesn't sound very cool. See,
yeah.
I I've been thinking about streaming again, like
You should.
occasionally when I play games or when I'm coding or something, because I follow a
You
few
know,
people that stream while they're coding. But
that would be
I don't know.
cool. That would be cool. See, I would like to do stuff like that on TikTok because those types of things people weird streaming things people just get into on TikTok. I am struggling to build the followers to get to the required numbers.
Yeah,
um
I don't to be able to stream on there.
yeah, you have to get to a thousand followers.
Well,
And
I think they raised it again. Is it still a
did they?
thousand?
Oh, I don't know, last I heard it was 1,000.
I don't know. I have a couple friends that are really fucking good at TikTok and making cash money on there, and they keep telling me to, you got to get into TikTok, and I'm like, I'm too fucking busy right now.
Well, you really have to be dedicated. At least, with Twitch, I stream and I make a few pennies, of a dollar or two here and there, which is pretty cool. But I mean, the amount of effort that it takes to get to that point where I could do that on Twitch is 10 times harder to do on TikTok. Like I've really considered finding all of these like swimsuit model videos and just uploading them for followers. And then once I hit my 1,000 followers, just delete all of them
Yeah,
and go back to what I was
start
wanting to
streaming.
stream. Yeah,
I wonder if they take it away if you drop below 1,000 again.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I know that I can say Twitch doesn't do that, but I can't speak for TikTok because I have no clue. Um, because I missed out on the Facebook gaming. That kind of fell on its face because I was trying to get
Yeah,
because we were trying to get set up for streaming when they were when Facebook gaming was becoming a thing. And then it's so easy to get fucking banned on Facebook that I've given up trying to stream anything on TikTok. Like if someone in one of the groups that I admin posts something bad, it reflects negatively on you as an admin trying to do stuff
yeah.
on your own. So that particular Facebook group that you and I and some others are a part of, anytime one of us gets we get a notification that content got removed or someone's being, you
Yeah,
know,
from 3 fucking years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. When I go to stream something on Facebook, it'll come up and say, "Oh, you were banned from, streaming for X number of months," and you don't get a notification when the ban happens. You get a notification that you've had an ongoing ban, and you're just now being made aware of it because you're wanting to do something that you're not allowed to do.
They just ban fucking every little thing you put on there. I've
Yeah,
had so many fucking videos claimed and blocked and that are nothing.
yeah.
Like a video of a dude riding an ATV. Didn't even crash him. The most random fucking shit.
Well,
Like,
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. Um, my dad's church, they have a Facebook page,
yeah,
and me of all people, I'm an admin of that Facebook page just because I was helping Dad learn how to do Facebook streaming when it first started. So he made me an admin so I could set his stuff up and I could help him do things from my phone. And I've always been. I'm still an admin. I don't go to their church. I have nothing to do with their church. Fuck religion, whatever. Um, but I'm still an admin for this church Facebook page, and their kind of bread and butter at their church is they do a lot of music. So
yeah.
somebody will show up and be like, "Oh, here's this CD of this song I want to sing to and or play with or whatever," and In the early days, I had so many bans on my personal account because when they would go to play a song on their Facebook page that they were going to sing to, it would kick it out for DMCA and they would get silenced and it would count against the admins for allowing, copyrighted material to be played on the Facebook page. And they ended up spending like the $500 or whatever it costs to get like the umbrella license that allows you to play music. That's like, do you own the license for this? Yes, I have the blanket umbrella license to do this. They ended up having to do that so they could continue to do their streaming online. And
Jeez.
yeah, it was crazy. They had to get like four different licenses from four different publishers. And it was at like 500 and some dollars total for all the licenses. And now they can whatever music they want to sing to or play or whatever, they don't get popped for DMCA, even though it
I
would fall under
guess.
fair use because
Yeah.
it's replication. But
That that fucking copyright shit is
yeah,
so stupid.
but because of
America's
that,
dumb.
yeah, because of that, I've gotten burned so many times trying to live stream on Facebook, and I've just given up.
Eh, nobody watches on there anyways.
No, not really. I mean,
Y-
I-
YouTube live stream does okay.
Dad has gotten into he's bought a couple of laser engravers. As a matter of fact, he just bought this fiber optic CO2 powered laser engraver. He bought it a couple of days ago, but he does videos. You know how like you're engraving something and it's got the cool sound and the laser making the pattern or whatever on the item. He
Yeah.
posts a lot of those videos, and he's been monetized. Like he not a lot of money,
On
you know.
Facebook?
Yeah, no, on Facebook Reels.
Huh.
Yeah, he makes $10-15 a month, and now it's a crazy amount of views. Like you got to have like 10,000 views to essentially make $1. But he makes like 10-15 bucks a month just uh
Doing that?
doing that. Yeah, yeah. He got his first because it's like Twitch. They pay out at $50, and he got his first payout a couple of months ago. And he was just his mind was blown because he came to me and he goes, they're wanting my banking information because they say I've been monetized and I'm making this money. And of course, here we are, millennials and boomers talking technology. And so I looked at everything, and yeah, it was straight from Facebook. They were, wanting him to sign up to be monetized, and I was like, "Holy shit! You got monetized!" He has more viewers on his reels than we do on all of our videos we've ever made combined, and just one video. I mean, he gets, 10
People
to
like that ASMR, just
yeah.
random fucking just.
I think his lowest view count video is like 7,000.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
now that he's hit the algorithm too, if he keeps
oh
filling
yeah,
up, they'll keep hitting. So.
yeah, he's been out of it where he had a stroke, but he's now getting back into it. And I've retired him from the business. He doesn't work at the office anymore, so he's just at home. So
Go on, get.
yeah, I did. I banned him from coming into the shop because it's like this is what caused your stroke. Go away.
His puppy dog eyes
Yeah.
crying,
So
pouting at the front door with his box full of office supplies. You go on, get.
yeah. So he called me. Is it yesterday morning? It was either yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday morning. He called me and he goes, "Well, I pulled the trigger on that laser." So he's got this 2 foot by 3 foot laser. He can do 2 foot by 3 foot items on this engraving
Yeah.
bait, and he
I
can
wish I
engrave.
could.
He can. I think he can engrave on like any surface. He can even like engrave on like stainless steel and stuff like that. He can engrave on paper. This thing is so sensitive and so like crazy low setting that he can create burns on the paper without setting the paper on fire, or he can go all the way up and like engrave and cut through stainless steel and whatnot. So it's pretty cool, but it's not my thing. He's into it. He likes it. It keeps him
Yeah.
busy.
Well, that works, I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, what do you
Shit,
think?
we better
Yeah, you want to call it
better
here?
call it.
We
Yeah.
got
About to turn into a pumpkin.
yeah, we're gonna we're gonna do a 3 hour podcast, and then I'm gonna get like hate message from Rob going, "Oh my god, I can't believe I had to listen to all of that." And see what I do is what I do.
He'll be out the second we diss Harleys. I'll tell you what.
No,
The
see,
second we talk badly about Harleys, he's out.
no, see, he's not gonna leave, and I'll tell you why. He listens to every episode to see if we talk about him or not. So
Oh,
if I
there's no.
yeah,
You
so
think he makes it to the end of
yeah,
this?
so I'm gonna wait to the end and talk about him. So now I know he'll have to listen to every episode to see if we talk
maybe,
about him.
maybe he has a Discord bot that mentions any podcast that mentions him, and he comes in there.
If it wasn't for the fact that I know that Rob is completely, totally technologically illiterate, I would believe you. But
You're
yeah,
right. I
that's just
forgot he's a boomer.
he really is a boomer. All right,
Oh,
well, it was fun as
good
always.
time.
It was good. We
Yeah,
we took a
saw Smokey for a second.
yeah,
Good to see
Rabble hung out.
Rabble. Yeah,
F and Matt
sorry,
F and Matt Damon was here. He's cool.
haven't met it. Yeah, I know you had stuff going, and I had stuff. I'm really just I'm just gonna throw Twitter on my fucking resume or something. I really
Do
just
it.
I don't make any money where I'm at now. I'm literally don't make enough money to live in this economy, so I need to get a tech job, and I'd like to. I could just take anyone, but I'd like to get one that I actually want and would enjoy. So I'm being a little more picky. Uh, so hopefully, whenever this does happen, instead of me doing this constantly in all my free time and working, I can just do that as working and then have more free time.
There you go. Well, I'm happy for you. I've been, I'm following your progress and being incredibly. I'm living vicariously through you because you're doing all the shit I want to do, but I don't have the time to do it because I will never. It will never be able to go beyond a hobby for me. I would never be able to, sit and take the classes that you're taking, knowing, oh, I can use this to make money. No, I can't.
Yeah.
Not unless it's an algorithm that makes me sell more fire extinguishers. It's just never, just not going to happen.
Well, you got to set up a Discord bot that whenever someone mentions fire extinguishers or smoke detectors, that
Oh my god. Oh, I am excited. We're the company that I used to work for has gone out of business, and we're picking up their crumbs. Um, we've got a couple of trips to IBM in upstate New York to do some fire systems on some of their microchip processing robots. So I'm really excited for that. And there's probably going to be a lot of traveling coming up in the next couple of years because of it. And I'm
Mm,
super, super excited to get into that business because the money is
yeah,
incredibly
fine.
better, way better than fire extinguishers could ever imagine being.
Wouldn't it be nice to just make some money?
That's what this is going to be. I'm either going to make some money here
See,
and
this is how the billionaires start, but then they forget to say, "All right, I have enough money." They
yeah,
forget that part. You can't spend $1 billion.
no.
To spend $1 billion in a year, you'd have to spend $3 million a day.
Well, I think I've been thinking about it,
Like
and I think I'll say it here first. Um,
you're gonna be a billionaire.
yeah, fuck. If
Wow.
I'm not making any money, like any real legitimate money at this in this business in the next 5 years, I'm going to do something else. I don't know what that something else is because I'll be in my 40s and this is
Yeah.
all. I've been doing this job for 20 years, but I gotta find something else that's
Yeah.
I don't. I struggle with finding the enjoyment in my job, and if I'm making a lot of money at it, I can say, well, I hate my job, but it's making me rich.
That's the thing. But if you're not making money and you don't like it,
Yeah, it's just not worth it. So
yeah.
anyway,
That's my last random thought. I had that literally yesterday. I was thinking, man, if I just because I did some programming and stuff in school. I think I've talked about it. I'll tell you real quick. Me and my buddy figured out that you could shut down and send messages to any computer on the school computers network. You could just shut it down, the teachers, whatever. And so we got banned for 3 days, and then they had me work on the school website after I came back. They're like, "Hey, you don't work on the school website?"
I think
And
if I was to get into anything tech related, I would like to do the physical installing of networks. Because
yeah, oh yeah, and fucking route the
yeah,
cables and like
because
fucking make them look all pretty
one
and
of the things I did as a side hustle when I was right out of high school is I installed sound systems in cars,
yeah,
and I took a lot of enjoyment as okay, I'm gonna put the amp in the back, but I got to get power to it. Okay, so I got to get power off the battery to the amp. Where
yeah.
do
You
I
could
go
run
to do?
cable under the
Yeah,
sideboards and all the
yeah,
way
and
back.
it
Yeah,
was like a puzzle, and I really really like puzzles, and I think I would enjoy doing that, and like you said, dressing it, making it all look pretty. You know, running all the bundles in one direction of the same color, and I'd
Yeah.
fucking nut to shit like that.
No, it's a whole fucking art.
Yeah,
There, if you check the right spots on TikTok, you'll see some of that too. But yeah, I just never stuck with anything long enough is my problem. And then I was thinking the other day, I'm like, man, if I just picked anything a long time ago and just stuck with it, if it, I man, imagine if I didn't stop doing Podtacular, would I have ever met you?
I
We could make we could be making sleepy time albums right now.
it's possible that because I mean I did Podtacular was one of the
Well,
first ones
yeah,
I listened to, but it
we
was
still
so
did all the they still did all the drunken Halo stuff, so probably eventually.
yeah. Well, like I said, I was listening to Podtac first, and I literally just could not stay. I mean, I couldn't focus while I was listening to it because I would just it would. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like this, it's you know we joke about it and whatnot, but I mean it's legitimate. Like I could not stay awake. It would it I would literally lose focus while doing stuff. I mean, just drift off because you know
Yeah, it's bad. It's a thing, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna quit on this one though.
Don't quit.
I'm really enjoying it. That's the hard part. Is like so many other things. I'm like, I don't know if I really like it, but I'm really liking this, and there is money to be made. So,
Well,
you know, I didn't get paid much when I was working at Twitter, but
well, don't quit because, like I said, I can live vicariously through you. So, all right.
all right.
Shout out to everybody.
Bye, Rob.
Bye, Rob. You know, hopefully we get to. Mystery should be working on the ice cream machine or something by now. Hopefully he gets his computer fixed.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But all
We'll have
right.
to have some of them on soon or something. I don't know. Guests
Yeah,
are hard.
guests are hard, but mystery's a good one. We might have to do
Rob's
that.
always hard. I don't know how as a boomer at his age, but he's always hard. But anyways, all right. Bye, bye, everybody. Bye, Q.
Bye, Oreo.